being a change of the culture. I see the hate, so say what you say, cause I gotta watch for the vultures. Rhymes so nice, you see the ice, plus I'm only getting colder. You just tryna flex like you got next, really you know that it's over. Yeah, hey, I don't need no co-star, been gone like so far. Plus I'm catching all the rays from the sun, give me power like I'm solar. You cannot catch the drip, yeah, that is unless you a coaster. And we up, yeah, way up, yeah, they gon' put this on a poster. I got many dreams, I got plenty things that I wanna see. Will I put that on me? Yeah, I got many dreams, I got plenty things, yeah, that I wanna see. Will I put that on me? Yeah, I got many dreams, I got plenty things that I wanna see. Will I put that on me? Yeah, I got many dreams, I got plenty things that I wanna see. Will I put that on me? Yeah, I put that on me. Yeah, I put that on me. Walk tall, see the car, do another smile, I'ma be the greatest. Good luck keeping up everything I can, you know what the name is. Plus I've been through the training, straight shot how I'm aiming. Never stop, try to put me in a box, boy, you can never frame this. I am what you might be, too fast and I'm too strong. I might juke y'all like I'm lightning, spook y'all like I'm frightening. They ain't never seen it like me, got my team right beside me. High tide, I'm rising, my time that's timely. I got many dreams, I got plenty things that I wanna see. Will I put that on me? Yeah, I got many dreams, I got plenty things, yeah, that I wanna see. Will I put that on me? Yeah, I got many dreams, I got plenty things that I wanna see. Will I put that on me? Yeah, I got many dreams, I got plenty things that I wanna see. Will I put that on me? Yeah, I put that on me. 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 I got now, don't know who got next. Just like that, better every step. Yeah, I got now, don't know who got next. Just like that, better every step. I got now, don't know who got next. Just like that, better every step. Yeah, I got now, don't know who got next. Just like that, better every step. I got many dreams, I got plenty things that I wanna see. Will I put that on me? Yeah, I got many dreams, I got plenty things, yeah, that I wanna see. Will I put that on me? Yeah, I got many dreams, I got plenty things that I wanna see. Will I put that on me? Yeah, I got many dreams, I got plenty things that I wanna see. Will I put that on me?
Scenario, win, yeah, we on a roll. Yeah, 2, 4, 6, we like 10 and 0. I should probably tell them something that they didn't know. Back then we was down with nowhere to go. Shit, might have been down, but we didn't fold. Now we running it like some intervals. Ooh, what now? Tell me who you see when you look straight up. Like, wait, who? Us now. What you gon' do when we pull up on you? Like, ooh, touchdown. You already know what it is when I come through you. Ooh, shut down. Shut down. Say, ooh, what now? Tell me who you see when you look straight up. Like, wait, who? Us now. What you gon' do when we pull up on you? Like, ooh, touchdown. You already know what it is when we come through you. Ooh, shut down. Ooh, shut down. Ooh, give me that crown. I need that now, right now. Ooh, don't make a sound. It's my time. You hear the crowd. Yeah, we need that rain. Me and my team. Deja vu, this here a dream. We done all seen 100 times over back when we was just teens. Now we going dumb, told them we the one. They would count us out, now we counting up the funds. Now without a doubt, they be throwing other ones. Like they was always rapping, I believe them if you won. Now they show love, came with a dub. It is what it is, it isn't what it was. They all love to hate when it don't work out. Tell you that they always been down when it does. Look. Say, ooh, right now. Tell me who you see when you look straight up. Like,
You can't refuse it. You know we strong, you know we bold, you know we ready for it. And any problem in this world, we gonna handle it. You coulda young, you coulda old, you know we built for this. We brave, you know we bold, you know we ready for it. And any trouble in this world, we gonna handle it. And when we come together, we dismantle it. And when we come official, put me stamp on it. And any problem in this world, we gonna trample it. Yo, this new generation, this is the new age. Heading to the future, coming out the cage. Get crazy, misbehave. Get crazy, misbehave. Get crazy, misbehave. Are you ready for the rave? Jump on, misbehave. Hey yo, you're ready for the rave. Everybody, we coming out the cage. Party people, hey, hey, jump up, jump up, jump up, jump up. Hands up, hands up, hands up, hands up. Jump up, jump up, jump up, jump up. Hands up, hands up. Who wants them?
Hold up.
Hey, turn up. Hey, turn up. Hey, hands up. We jumping, yes, we jumping on the road. So much vibes up, yes, we ready to explode. We raving, don't you step into my lane. This feeling, yes, it's hard to explain. Flowing through my veins, flowing through my brain, driving me insane. Hey yo, get crazy, misbehave. Get crazy, misbehave. Get crazy, misbehave. Are you ready for the rave? Hey, 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 hey. Jump on, misbehave. You're ready for the rave. Hey, 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 hey. We coming out the cage. Hey, 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 hey. Jump up, jump up, jump up, jump up. Hands up, hands up, hands up, hands up. Jump up, jump up, jump up, jump up. Hands up, hands up. Are you ready for the rave? Get wild, misbehave. You're ready for the rave. Get wild, misbehave. What they want from me, 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 what they want from me. What they want from me.
When the lights go out, we start moving, running through it all like dope. We ain't losing, we ain't gonna fall back, now we going in. Ain't nobody stopping us, only option to win. So we take it all, never fall on gas. And we going hard, no flaws, all facts. If you wanna call it a bluff, let's dance. But you better trust that you stand no chance. We on that next level. We on that next level. We on that next level. No capping, ain't nobody quite as dope when I'm rapping. When I hit the stage, the flames they start flying. Ironic, the king of the jungle, but not lying. Wouldn't be as good as me if I stopped trying. Better just pick a corner and start crying. I'll be the one they looked up to when I'm crashing down. I was born for the throne. I look good in that crown. When the lights go out, we start moving, running through it all like dope. We ain't losing, we ain't gonna fall back, now we going in. Ain't nobody stopping us, only option to win. So we take it all, never fall on gas. And we going hard, no flaws, all facts. If you wanna call it a bluff, let's dance. But you better trust that you stand no chance. We on that next level. We on that next level. I look good in that crown. We on that next level.
Welcome to the FIFA E-Club World Cup, where the top players from the world's best clubs battle it out to become one of 6 FIFA E-Club World Cup 2021 zone winners. To make it to the zone finals, the clubs went through a tough qualification process. Let's take a step back and look at how the clubs made it here. The FIFA E-Club online qualifiers were split into 6 zones. In each zone, the clubs were divided into different conferences, where they competed in up to 3 divisions. Based on their performances, clubs moved up or down in the divisions. The qualifiers ran over the course of 4 weeks, with multiple rounds. Every week, the competition got tougher as the bottom divisions dropped off. Clubs fought to secure their spot in the zone finals by means of a consistency ranking or by being the best placed club in the final week of qualifiers. After an action-packed qualification round, the 42 best clubs from all over the world are competing in 6 zones. Let's have a look at how the zone finals are set up. Like the qualifiers, the zone finals are split into 6 different zones. Zones have been divided into different groups based on the number of participating clubs in each zone. Clubs have battled it out in a round-robin style competition, which means that every club has competed against one another. This setup continued to knockout stages and now culminates in a zone final with the 2 best clubs. By the end of the FIFA E-Club World Cup 2021, the 6 zone winners will be crowned.
Yeah, show me my opponent. Top spot, I want it. My grind, I'm on it. Can't stop, keep going. Wanna know me, can't call me. I remember feeling lonely. I remember when they told me I would never get the trophy. Show me my opponent. Top spot, I want it. My grind, I'm on it. Can't stop, keep going. Wanna know me, can't call me. I remember feeling hungry. Now I'm coming for the trophy. Cause this is my moment. I'm a boss till I fall, I'ma answer the call. I'm a beast, I'm a dog, had my back against the wall. I accept every challenge, had to battle for my balance. From a peasant to the palace, treat the trophy like a chalice. Stayed on my grind, great things take time. Now how I shine, you might go blind. Come along for the ride, cause I'm headed to the top with it. Going is my only option, they can never ever stop this. Show me my opponent, top spot, I want it. My grind, I'm on it, can't stop, keep going. One and only, can't clone me. I remember feeling lonely, I remember when they told me I would never get the trophy. Show me my opponent, top spot, I want it. My grind, I'm on it, can't stop, keep going. One and only, can't clone me. I remember feeling hungry, now I'm coming for the trophy. Cause this is my moment. So many days, so many nights, I had to fall, I had to fight, I had to find the strength that I keep hope alive. Through the dark, I found my light and now I shine. So many days, so many nights, I had to fall, I had to fight, I had to find the strength that I keep hope alive. Through the dark, I found the light and now it's mine. Cause this is my moment. My moment. Cause this is my moment.
Give me the money, give me the loot, give me the racks. Give me the hundreds, give me the skrilla, give me the stacks. Give me the bread, give me the cheese, give me the cash. Give me the feta, give me the cheese, give me the bag. Yeah, I want it, give me the bag. Yeah, I need it, give me the bag. I be on it, give me the bag. Yeah, I see it, give me the bag. Ain't no stopping, give me the bag. I'ma make it, give me the bag. If you got it, give me the bag. I'ma take it, give me the bag. Yeah, I want it, give me the bag. Yeah, I need it, give me the bag. I be on it, give me the bag. Yeah, I see it, give me the bag. Ain't no stopping, give me the bag. I'ma make it, give me the bag. If you got it, give me the bag. I'ma take it, give me the bag. Now give me that, come up off that, cause I want that. You can see that, I'ma need that. Show me where the cheese at, where you keep that. I ain't looking for no feedback. That's the G's, man. You should know that I'm a glutton for money, cash. Though if you got it, pass that over to me, cause if I want it fast. I'm slacking them dollars, you know what I'm about. Plus I be popping them collars. We in and we out. I got confessions and obsessions for getting the bag. Here's a lesson, just stay flexible when getting the stag. I want 10s, 20s, 50s, 100 and more, but you should already know because you said it before. Give me the money, give me the loot, give me the racks. Give me the hundreds, give me the skrilla, give me the stacks. Give me the bread, give me the cheese, give me the cash. Give me the feta, give me the cheese, give me the bag. Yeah, I want it, give me the bag. Yeah, I need it, give me the bag. I be on it, give me the bag. Yeah, I see it, give me the bag. Ain't no stopping, give me the bag. I'ma make it, give me the bag. If you got it, give me the bag. I'ma take it, give me the bag. Yeah, I want it, give me the bag. Yeah, I need it, give me the bag. I be on it, give me the bag. Yeah, I see it, give me the bag. Ain't no stopping, give me the bag. I'ma make it, give me the bag. If you got it, give me the bag. I'ma take it, give me the bag. I be in my dough up, that's like a cold cut. So much of my throw up, man, I gotta eat. Here go the proof new, like the old buck come. No, it don't slow up, that's what I'ma hold up. All this money going straight to the roof. I just be stacking my money though, more give me more. Yeah, whole lot of rolls around my waist, skinny but I got tummy rolls. The flavor we talking, the money flow. My pockets to see where the money go. Whole lot of dough, I'm getting cake. No candle leaving, I'm very yo. I'ma get bread, hits and I'm dead. Gotta get it by the loaf. Bitch in my head, my favorite friend. Man, you always got my boat. Gotta get it coast to coast. In the era on the boat. Money, I promote. Seriously, it ain't a joke. Give me the money, give me the loot, give me the racks. Give me the hundreds, give me the skrilla, give me the stacks. Give me the bread, give me the cheese, give me the cash. Give me the feta, give me the cheese, give me the bag. Yeah, I want it, give me the bag. Yeah, I need it, give me the bag. I be on it, give me the bag. Yeah, I see it, give me the bag. Ain't no stopping, give me the bag. I'ma make it, give me the bag. If you got it, give me the bag. I'ma take it, give me the bag. Yeah, I want it, give me the bag. Yeah, I need it, give me the bag. I be on it, give me the bag. Yeah, I see it, give me the bag. Ain't no stopping, give me the bag. I'ma make it, give me the bag. If you got it, give me the bag. I'ma take it, give me the bag.
event. On tilt, we gon' really get it in, right? Right. Ain't no time to be lazy, oh no. I got a dozen girls coming, they crazy for show. And not a single girl rating them 8 or below. I swear to God, they gon' love it the way that I flow. Hey, yeah, and we gon' take it slow. Spending time while you turn up at a vacant show. You can take your time, shawty, you don't need to go. We at a house party chillin' if you need to know. We're taking it slow. We're just taking our time. And we're just living our lives. And we got nowhere to go. So let's stay here the whole night. Cause all we feel is good vibes. Yeah, all we feel is good vibes. I've been vibing with you from the jump. See the crib, I ain't even got a stunt. Make a hit sound, never try to blunt. When I pull up, everybody wanna front now. They acting brand new every time I touch down. And to my haters, all I gotta say is what now? Hey, say hello to the new whip, flirt with your new chick. All on TMZ, so the rights all exclusive. I'm playing with you, I know you playing too. We laying back in the cut, got the eagle view. I do this all the time, really ain't nothing new. I ain't frontin' on you, shorty, what I say is true. And now we chillin', we ain't worried about the biz though. Ay, stress-free, living like kids though. And if the vibe stay right like it is, when it's all said and done, we gon' end up more than friends. We're taking it slow. We're just taking our time. And we're just living our lives. And we got nowhere to go. So let's stay here the whole night. Cause all we feel is good vibes. Yeah, all we feel is good vibes. I got my own, I drive my own car, I got my own whip. You already know it. Hey, y'all make noise and y'all just focus. I gotta focus. I do not hang around women that golden. You keep it noted. I get the money and y'all getting no biz. I don't do poses. I keep it pushing, yeah, I keep it coasting. Whole team rolling. Shorty act up so you know that I'm ghosting. My season approaching. I got the juice, yeah, I got the potion. Let's get to toasting. Drinking my cup, yeah, let's get the poke. Hey, what's up? Pour another in my cup. Hop in a whip, pull up, yeah. All of my girls show love, they live in the hills, do drugs. Want more, now they can't get enough. Got my own thing, got my own thing. I don't do what everybody does, no. Hey, what's up, yeah. What's up, yeah. Hey, what's up, yeah. Stop playing. I gotta know what you saying. You telling me you a fan. Or you DM me from Japan. You gotta love it. I do this music, put nothing above it. I had it shorty, but I had it cut it. Cause I had no time to give her what she wanted. I gotta get to the bag like ASAP. I want a brand new Maybach. Whole lot of people done doubted me. Me stunting on them is a payback. I hate to say that, but I'm buying whips and I pay cash. You should see where I stay at, cause they think I'm selling that A-flat. Hey, what's up? Pour another in my cup. Hop in a whip, pull up, yeah. All of my girls show love, they live in the hills, do drugs. Want more, now they can't get enough. Got my own thing, got my own thing. I don't do what everybody does, no. Hey, what's up, yeah. What's up, yeah. Hey, what's up, yeah. What's up, yeah. Hey, what's up? Pour another in my cup. Hop in a whip, pull up, yeah. All of my girls show love, they live in the hills, do drugs. Want more, now they can't get enough. Got my own thing, got my own thing. I don't do what everybody does, no. Hey, what's up, yeah. Hey, what's up, yeah. Hey, what's up, yeah. Hey, what's up, yeah.
The 42 best clubs in the world, ready to write history and become legends of the badge. Ultimate glory is at stake, a chance to create a legacy at their fingertips. With dreams of achieving greatness, making their way to the biggest stage. But only 6 will be crowned this year's FIFA E-Club World Cup Zone winners.
Y'all came here for the fame, I came here for the heart. Y'all came here for the game, I came here for the sport. Run it, we gon' stay 100. Run it, give it all or nothing.
Go?
Yes, last one. Hello and welcome to the FIFA E-Club World Cup 2021. It's the final showdown as we enter Zone 6 North America, where NYC eSports will take on Complexity in the battle to be crowned Zone Champions. My name is Layla Annalee and I'm joined by Spencer Owen. Today we find out who is the best club in North America.
We do indeed, and I think we've saved one of the best ones till last here, Layla, not least because we have the reigning champions, of course, Complexity. A little bit of a different tournament this year to what they won last year, but for me, if they win this zone, that's as good as saying you're the 2-time champions. You know, that's the reigning champs keeping it going. I think that's a massive opportunity for them.
100%.
There's another storyline, though.
Go for it.
We have NYC FC, as you mentioned. The only team left that can win a zone that is an actual real-life football club, as well as a traditional esports team. And obviously, when this event was first started, not that long ago, only a few years ago, the first 2 were won by Brøndby, a Danish football club. Since then, only esports organisations have won, and they've kind of been putting the football clubs to shame a little bit. NYC could save it for the traditional real-life football team.
The last traditional real football team left.
Yeah.
The last one. Interesting. Obviously, good to see how they go. So you've already touched on the fact that it's slightly different this year. The players aren't here in the studio with us. They're playing from home. What kind of complexities? What kind of changes will that be for them?
Well, I mean, we all miss having everyone in person, that's for sure. I mean, the drama, the energy in the room is infectious, and it's definitely going to return. But while we're getting this sort of adaptation year because of what's going on in the world, the guys have to adapt as well. You know, but I think we're almost a year into this situation now with these events, and I think the players would have adapted to it by now. They'd have played a lot of events at home, but it does test certain things that are different to a LAN event. You know, how's your internet connection for one? If you have an issue at your house or your headquarters, wherever you're playing from, it could affect you in a big way. So you've got to make sure everything's working properly.
What are your family like? We don't want people just randomly bursting into the room.
Yeah, I like to think long gone are the days, you know, where we had to worry about dial-up internet or, you know, our parents not taking FIFA seriously. Like, if you're playing FIFA at this level at least, I like to think your parents are big fans and supporters of what you're doing and giving you the best opportunity to win. If you're playing at home, some of these guys will be at headquarters.
So tell us a little bit about the 2 teams head-to-head today because, well, what can we expect?
Well, I mean, like I said, we've got the reigning champions in Complexity. Yoxan is the #1 player in America, North America right now on the PlayStation. He has kind of been more or less for some time. Yeah, this guy is really a standout performer. But what we haven't seen in any of our zone finals yet is the first and second players in terms of rankings on the Global Series leaderboard going head-to-head. That's what we've got today. NYC Chris is second on PlayStation leaderboard. He's also an E-Champions League winner, which is another major event, obviously, we have in our kind of FIFA ecosystem. So we've got some big players here with history, nonetheless, obviously, the Maxi VIP as well, who's Yoxan's partner at Complexity. They won this tournament this time last year in Italy together in sensational form. And we've got the newly signed Squirrel at NYC FC as well, obviously teaming up with Chris and trying to see if they can win it for the football clubs.
I cannot wait. Well, in each zone that we've been reporting from, we've had a zone reporter, a specialist who's been following both teams throughout the whole of the qualifications. For the North America zone, we have Sam. Sam joins us now. How are you?
I'm doing very well. How are you?
Awesome. Very good, thank you. We're wondering if you, with your experience and your knowledge of the teams, can give us a little bit of a head-to-head. Tell us about these 2 teams, please.
Well, like you said, I think we absolutely have the 2 best teams in the region. As you said, Complexity Gaming, they are the reigning champions from last year, and they've continued that form. They are one of the best teams in North America. NYCFC, it's a newly established roster. Like you mentioned, Squirrel was only signed a couple of months ago, but Squirrel is a fantastic player, and obviously they have Chris, who is #2 on the PlayStation leaderboards. We absolutely have the 2 best teams here, and I think we're going to have a fantastic final between the 2 of them.
Sam, that's exactly what we want in a final, isn't it? This great storyline of this matchup we've got. Tell me about the players individually, how they've been performing throughout qualification and the group stage and whatnot.
Well, like you mentioned, we have Yoxon on Complexity Gaming. He is the #1 player on PlayStation. He also won back-to-back North American Cups. He's definitely one of the best players in this region. We also have Max on Complexity. He hasn't been performing as well as he might like to do. He's only 23rd on the leaderboards, but I don't think that's a concern for this tournament because he plays much better in a team setting. And of course, on NYCFC, we have Chris. He's the #2 on the PlayStation. He's also back-to-back EMLS Series champion this year. He's doing really well in the local EMLS league. And Squirrel is 7th on Xbox. He also came 2nd in the first North American Cup. We have some of the best players in the region in this game, and I think the games that we're going to see are going to be incredible.
So how are we looking for the final then, looking back at their journey? What sort of thing do we need to know ahead of this game?
Well, I think the #1 thing that you need to know is that during the group stages, this is actually the first time that Complexity Gaming have not been #1 in this region. Obviously, last year, they won the FIFA eClub World Cup. During qualifiers to make it to the group stage, they finished as the #1 seed, but they actually finished 2nd place in the group stage on 9 points, and NYCFC finished just ahead of them on 10 points. Now, that's actually really interesting, not just because Complexity Gaming aren't going into this as the #1 team technically, but also as the #1 seed, NYCFC got to choose the first console for this best of 5, which puts them in the driving seat for this game. And I think that could be the key to their success here.
Yeah, Sam, totally. I think we've seen that across all our finals, that who goes first on what console can have a massive effect. We know it's going to be Xbox up first, which of course is Squirrel versus Max VIP. Now, what do you think that's going to mean for the tournament, the fact that that fixture could be played 3 times as opposed to 2? And can I push you for a prediction as well?
You absolutely can push me for a prediction. I do think NYCFC have put themselves in the best possible position to win, but I still think Complexity Gaming are going to pull it off. And it's not just because they're the reigning champions. I think NYCFC have done a very good job of limiting Yoxon to only playing 2 games, but he actually beat Chris 5-0 during the group stages. So if he manages to pull that off again in 2 games and he secures 2 wins for Complexity Gaming there, Squirrel is going to have to beat Max 3 times. It's all about the roads to getting 3 wins. That's what's key. And I just think, based on how Max performed in the group stages, he's so good at closing out games. He always comes up around the 70th or the 80th minute. If it's at the end of the game or it goes to extra time, that's where he performs the best. And I think, based on that form, I think it might be difficult for Squirrel to beat him consistently. I think we're going to have really, really close games across all the games, all 5 games. But I do think Complexity Gaming are going to pull it off.
Thank you very much, Sam. I like the way he's saying that he does think it'll be close games across all 5 games, already predicting potentially 5 legs.
It could go that way. I mean, the results between these guys are really interesting. There's not like a clear favourite. I mean, I know that Sam mentioned there that Yoxan beat Chris 5-0, which he did. But then if you take it back to the earlier qualifying games, there was a lot of toing and froing. In fact, they actually met 7 times in total. It was 4 wins to NYC compared to the 3 for Complexity, which gives them the edge. And in the Xbox game in the group stage, they did draw 1-1. So there's room for manoeuvre, but the 5-0 does jump off the page because that's not a small margin.
Oh, we're talking about the group stages. Let's have a little look at the group table now, which NYC topped.
Yeah, so you can see they topped it. I mean, it's one of those, because it's such a small group stage, there wasn't a lot of games, and therefore you can only read so much into the data for me, because even though NYC did top it with 10 points, look at the goal difference. They topped it with a -5 goal difference. And you compare that to Complexity with +4, I almost feel like, apart from the fact that it means you don't get to pick the first console, which is huge, and that is ultimately what NYC have done, I'd probably, apart from that, rather have a 9 points with a +4. It shows more positive play for me. It shows that obviously that 5-0 hurt their goal difference massively, for NYC and Chris particularly. But yeah, I wouldn't read too much into the fact that one was top and one was second. I think Sam's probably smart to edge on the side of Complexity, although it's far from a done deal.
Talk to me about the importance of choosing that first platform and how we've seen that throughout the Zone Champions today.
Well, I mean, for example, we're going to see a result here which is pretty important. It's the Xbox we're starting with first. Now, this was 1-1. Very different to the 5-0 result we saw on the PlayStation. So this is basically the reason that NYC have tipped to go with Xbox, because they feel like they can get a result there. They've got a 1-1 draw there between Maxi and Squirrel. Let's compare those like for like. Squirrel's currently 7th on the Xbox right now in the North America rankings. Maxi VIP is the lowest of these four, 23rd. I agree with Sam. Maxi does find a way of stepping up when it matters, particularly in this tournament. He loves this tournament. But Scribble's potentially got the better of that matchup. You look at the Chris and Yoxan 5-0 to Yoxan, you're not going to want to play that game 3 times. You want to minimise that. This is that game we talked about. And you can see the manner of the goals that Yoxan for complexity was scoring against NYC Chris. Great finish on the left foot there. I mean, when Yoxan's on song, he's unplayable. You know, this isn't just a player that's strong in the North America region. We've seen him do things across the world on the world stage. We've seen him win majors before as an individual, as well as, of course, last year's E-Club World Cup. So if we're seeing prime Yoxan, then I don't think anyone will stop him. But Chris, on his day as well, has been a fantastic player. This game was not his day. Big defeat. And that would have rattled him. Don't make any mistake. He'll be looking to bounce back from that. He'll be looking to prove people wrong that don't believe him because they're thinking he's got no chance. He lost 5-0. We were saying the same thing, Layla, just a few hours ago about Principe versus Uston. We're saying Principe's got no chance. He's never beaten Uston. He beats him twice and they win the whole event there in Europe. So don't read too much into stats. As much as we push them, these finals have a way of surprising us.
They do. OK, let's meet some of the players now. Let's talk to Chris and Squirrel from NYC FC.
NYC, I would say it's probably just the best EMLS team out there. They signed me this year, early in FIFA 21, and I couldn't be happier to be here.
They were the first MLS club to have an EMLS pro player, which is me. So I'm very thankful and blessed to be the first ever EMLS pro player.
For Chris's strengths, I mean, I would basically tick every box there is in FIFA. I mean, he has a lot of strengths. I would say his biggest strength, though, is probably his play in the box. Every time I watch him, he just has his opponent dancing. And for weaknesses, I honestly couldn't say he has a weakness.
So my teammate, you know, he's a very talented player. One of his key strengths is that he never gives up. He always wants to keep fighting and keep trying to come back and again.
I would say playing as an individual compared to playing as a team is slightly different because, of course, when you lose, you don't want to let your teammate down. And when you win, you also win for your teammates. So I think there's a bit of added pressure, but there's also a bit of added motivation, I would say. So it's definitely a good change.
Yes, I think we can go far in the tournament and win the whole thing. I'm pretty confident in our skill and the way we play. So I think there's a big chance that we can win it.
The NYCFC players highlighting there the difference between playing individually and playing for your club. He's talking about the sense of obligation towards his club as well. Yeah, I think that, I mean, personally, I like playing in teams. I've grown up playing team sports. I enjoy having someone else that's going to have your back, but also that you can have their back. And you can, I think you get more out of yourself if you're that kind of player. You know, FIFA traditionally is a 1v1 sport at the moment, at least, and we're only seeing a few events that are coming through. And sometimes it's 2v2, like we saw actually in the game mode last year with the E-Club World Cup. We were actually playing 2v2 at the same time. This one's not doing that, and for obvious reasons, in different locations and whatnot. But you still have that sense of obligation because your results will dictate whether not just you, but someone else wins a major trophy. You know, and also your team, your organisation. These aren't just, you know, teams they play for in a park on a Sunday. This is a company, ultimately, that hires them, that pays them money to be a professional player. You do have a sense of obligation to that team, and this is the tournament that a lot of teams want to win the most. So, yeah, the pressure's there, and I think being on a team brings out the best in people. Well, we met NYCFC. Now let's meet the team behind Complexity.
So I started playing FIFA professionally about 2 or 3 years ago, and I've been to a lot of tournaments. I've been to the FIFA 19 World Cup, and I'm the current FIFA 20 Club World Cup champion, and now we're back to try to win it again.
Yoxan's kind of like not like an opposite of me, but he's a much more like relaxed, cooled out guy.
Max's strengths are, playing till the last minute. In the Club World Cup, this guy's always making crazy comebacks.
Our opponents in the final are super strong. Squirrel, one of the best Xbox players this year. Diddy, Chris Lito, NYC Chris, he's obviously one of the best in North America as well, up there with Yoxan's.
Our opponents, we're playing against New York City. They're one of the best players in NA. Diddy is ranked number 2 in North America, so I know it's gonna be a tough match always.
This is my favorite tournament to compete in, and obviously it's one of the most important tournaments that there is. So winning at one time was pretty much good enough. It's a really rare achievement to win, obviously a major LAN event. And then now winning it back-to-back would be amazing.
Complexity there, not holding back in praising their opponents and acknowledging the fact that they believe Squirrel is one of the best on the Xbox.
Well, I mean, statistically, he's in the top 7.
Yeah.
I can tell you that right now. I mean, that's based on the season so far. It's a 1v1. That doesn't count what we've seen in this event so far. But yeah, I mean, he's come kind of relatively new player. He's been around, but obviously recently signed for New York City. That's a big move for him, and he's been teamed up with a great player in Chris. But from a complexity standpoint, they're going for this. We'll call it a repeat, even though it's a slightly different format this year. This is North America only. And I just want to give them a little bit of credit as well, because from a team perspective, you know, there's a lot of things we don't make enough of a fuss of, I think, in this scene. One being like the difficulty sometimes is just holding on to players. Yoxan has the sort of form he has. There'll be a lot of teams after him. And even Max VIP, don't sleep on Max. You know, people think that he's not the same, he's not as maybe good as his teammate and all these things. Well, people said that last year, and he was a huge reason why they won in Italy last year. So it's a great side, and they've kept it together. I'm glad that they've been able to continue this sort of partnership, and let's see if it gets them another W.
Let's imagine if they do get back-to-back wins. How big a statement is that for the club?
I think it puts them in a really good shape. And Complexity have already proven that they're bigger than just that North American region by winning globally last year. And then this would be the only thing they can win in this tournament in front of them. They're going to get another win there. So they'd be one of the best teams, if not the best team in this tournament's history. We have seen Brøndby, who won 2 back-to-back when the tournament was first started. A slightly different format again, but still it would put them right up there with the Danish club.
Well, it's a great day to play in a FIFA E-World Cup final if it's your birthday, which it is for Yoxan. We have a surprise message for him.
Good luck to Yoxan and Complexity. Do well and bring it home.
Let's go, Yoxan. Let's get that dub. Good luck, brother.
Vamos, Yoxan. Vamos, Max. Vamos, Complexity. Happy birthday, Yoxan. I love you.
Yoxi, Maxi son unos cracks. Suerte en el Mundial. Yo sé que les va a ir bien porque se la rifan y les mando mi apoyo desde Mexicali, sin Complexity.
Venga, Yoxan, todos te estamos apoyando desde México, Estados Unidos. Let's go, Complexity. We're all with you guys. Bring it home. Let's go.
And so we begin our Zone 6 final for North America. NYC eSports takes on Complexity. It's over to our casters, Mark Hatcher and Dan Gaskin.
Thank you so much, and it is our pleasure to bring you what will be the final for today. Zone 6, North America, 2 of the biggest organizations, teams, whatever you want to call them, still involved in the competition, will go up against each other. And Dan Gaskin, there's so many storylines behind this. We've been lucky enough to cover North America and the region all this year on FIFA 21, and these names you're seeing right now are some of the best in the region.
Oh, number 1 and 2 in North America, we've got the current E-Club World Champions with a chance to kind of defend their title, of course, a different format as Spencer was mentioning, but either way, they could really cement themselves as the best team in North America with a victory here. But New York City FC have certainly been a bogey team for them. A few bad results here or there in qualifiers. Let's get this one started.
Oh, here we go then. It is time to get the final underway. We will have a winner of Zone 6 and the opportunity here for Complexity to essentially defend the title they won on the global stage this time last year. But this time it won't be on the global stage, it will be regional. But there is a budding rivalry between these two clubs, between these two organizations, and the two players that we see in front of us are going to have a massive say in how this turns out.
Yeah, it was a very important coin flip to see whether this was going to be Xbox or PlayStation to begin with. It is Xbox, as you're seeing. It is going to be Squirrel versus Maxi VIP. They faced up against each other 5 times in the lead-up to this point where they currently reside. It's been 3 wins for Squirrel, 1 win for Maxi VIP, and 1 draw. So certainly advantage Squirrel from the games they've had previously, but Maxi VIP might be able to turn around the 4 bucks here.
Squirrel with the hill-to-hill. A little cancel as well to get inside, but well defended here by Maxi. And I need to give a shout-out to Maxi VIP for the steal that he has as a player. Spencer alluded to it. A lot of talk about Yoxan moving into this competition, and the same was said last year as well, but it was Maxi's big performances in the high-pressure moments that essentially gifted Complexity. I shouldn't say gifted, I should say won Complexity that championship. And although he's had a quieter season by his own standards, and I'm sure he would admit that himself, all of a sudden, in these later stages of the competition, once again, Danny started to come to life.
And we did bring it up yesterday in the broadcast when Maxi VIP told us a story where he had a 4-0 lead and he threw away that lead and he kind of thinks about it every night. I have a feeling it might have been in the qualifiers against Squirrel, in which it went on to be a 6-5 victory for Squirrel. So even though he does have ice in his veins, there are certain times where he has actually lost the bottle a bit. So it's about which Maxi VIP turns up. You can see the stats there from NYC Squirrel and what he achieved throughout the group stage. But if we look at the whole qualification process, as well as the group stages, 50 goals scored, 59 against. It hasn't been the best of times for him, but he has got some big results.
Yeah, Squirrel's also been one of those players who we've watched a little bit of, and there's a lot of talk about how good he is in the North American scene, and you can't take away the achievements of getting to late in tournaments, but yet to go that extra step, to find his way into a final where he takes home a championship and really announces himself to not only the North American scene, but the world scene as well. Perfect opportunity for him to do it here. Just needs to find that consistency. But for now, it's going to be complexity, and Maxi VIP just working their way towards the edge of the box. Inside the box now, it's going to be Pele. Turns back inside, Bruno Fernandes tests the goalkeeper.
Something from the corner, and it is just going to be a short one. Not opting to try and find Cristiano Ronaldo in the middle. But a couple of early signs to show that Maxi VIP can get in the face of Squirrel here, and he is going to be dangerous when he is just around the box, but both players being very patient at the moment.
Cristiano Ronaldo trying to just feed that ball into the run. Well, I believe that was Bruno Fernandes. And now on the counter-attack, there's so much space here for Squirrel to attack. Gets to the byline, looks for the ball roll scoop, gets a little bit fortunate, and again, and takes the shot. Comfortable, though, for the goalkeeper. It's going to be Edwin van der Sar. It's going to be the last line of defence this time for complexity.
That was a case of you've had enough lucky bobbles that it's probably time to just let one go and have a shot just in case. As the likelihood is the defender is going to get back and wrestle that ball away from you eventually. A slow game, though. I think I expected this in the first leg. It is a best of 5. These two will face up against each other at least twice, and then possibly 3 times if we go all the way to that 5th leg.
Yeah, I feel this is a real sign of the respect that all of the players here have for each other. But here's Maxi VIP, and no respect shown by Cristiano Ronaldo. The scoop turn, the drive across goal, and just so much power on that. Edison had absolutely no chance.
That's so big for Maxi VIP as well. One of the best at defending a lead. I remember in FIFA 20, what he was able to achieve in the E-Club World Cup, just holding back his opponent, restricting them from any sort of chances to gain the lead now, especially when you've got Joksan as a teammate, one of the best defenders in the game, in your ear. Just giving you a little nudge saying, all right, well, this is what you need to do now. Dominate the possession. Frustrate your opponent. Fantastic start for complexity.
Well, here comes Squirrel then, looking to reply almost immediately. Stops up. Big challenge, though, from Patrick Vieira, but the ball just falls back to Squirrel here. Now 30 yards from goal. This is where Maxi's powers of concentration will be tested. A couple of interceptions not gone his way. Needs to keep focus. Fernandes into Ronaldo. A little reverse elastico, and all the tackles that are going in here. Possession still not being turned over here to complexity.
That's when it's hardest to defend, I feel, when you do win the ball back, but then it bobbles towards the striker and you have to quickly play a switch. I will say that Squirrel has never failed to score a goal against Maxi VIP in the 5 games they've played, so I think Maxi knows he needs to get at least 2 here.
Well, here's Pele looking for that second. Good tackle will send the ball out of play on this near side, as Pele will be on the throw-in, so more possession and more territory here for complexity. Ruud Gullit now, the bottom of that attacking diamond. Going to feed one of those passes into those 4 players. Bruno Fernandes going to drop deep. Criqueta Canto again, just trying to shift the ball left and right. See if he can create the angle for one of those passes.
And now if this was Joksan, he would hold on to the ball for the last attack, and it's not how much that rubs off onto his teammate here.
Well, it fires the ball forward. Will this be the last attack of the game? Once again, it's Cristiano Ronaldo looking to twist, looking to turn. Gets the ball into Pele now. Maybe a chance to strike it on that right foot. And as we get into the 45th minute and the end, the first half of this first leg, it might just be enough time to go forward, but no, complexity. And Maxi VIP have that goal advantage.
Yeah, Maxi was just waiting. There was the option. He could have maybe had a little strike with Pele. If he'd gone for it, though, the ball could have bounced out to the opposition's midfield, and then suddenly he's under threat of a counter-attack. This was the opening goal, though. Lovely scoop turn. We've seen a lot of them this weekend. Just being able to get it far enough past the man and then driving it across goal. And Cristiano Ronaldo with that shot power, when he does hit them and he hits them sweet, it does look good.
Yeah, it looks absolutely phenomenal. It felt absolutely phenomenal for Complexity. I'm sure that Joxan's going to have a smile on his face, a teammate, of course, of Maxi VIP. But I talked about how Maxi VIP is one of these players who just has something in his DNA. When the game gets bigger, Maxi VIP, he stands up in stature. He puts in performances, and he seems to do it for his teammate a lot of the time as well.
Yeah, when we look at the E-Club World Cup last year, he got a little bit of stick for how he played because he was very defensive-minded. He often was kind of looking for a penalty shootout at times and saying, look, if my opponent can't break me down, sure, we'll go to a 50-50. I will take the penalty shootout. But what he did was he teed up Joxan to get those big results that he knew he could rely on him for. He said, as long as I get a draw, as long as I can give myself that chance in a penalty shootout, I trust my teammate. It's slightly different in FIFA 21, though. I think Maxi VIP has found a little bit more of an attacking edge, and he does look very threatening going forward.
We've already seen how clinical he can be when that chance does come. Only one real chance to speak about, to be honest with you, at either end. We had a little bit of a half chance for Squirrel and New York City FC. Nothing really too dangerous. Speaking of danger, though, Squirrel had to be switched on there. And now with that directional nutmeg, is looking to break away. You can see a player switch coming in from Maxi VIP as well, just tracking that run of Pele in behind with Alphonso Davies. Speaking of Alphonso Davies, steps in now, makes the tackle and turns possession back over to Maxi.
Whilst, of course, just holding on to that title of E-Club champions for Complexity, there is the prize money to be thought about. $22,000 for the winners. Already at least $10,000 secured by finishing in second place. It's a lot of money to be thinking about when you get these really tight games and they can come down to just, sometimes, penalty shootout.
Here comes Maxi, and you can see the running behind from Bruno Fernandes, who goes to ground there. There didn't seem to be any contact from the defender to send him that way. But again, a dangerous moment. But for Squirrel, if you've been watching some of the North American regional qualifiers, you'll know how dangerous and how explosive he can be. Loves the skill, loves to be creative in and around the 18-yard box, and he's got the opportunity to do so here.
Just needs to have a little bit of a breakthrough moment.
That might be coming right now. There is the shot, across goal! And it's beautiful, the cancel coming in to create the opportunity for Ronaldo. And even though the shirt colour might be different, almost a carbon copy of the goal we saw in that first half.
And he just needed a defender to actually step out, show a little bit of space so he could go for a skill move inside the box, try and turn that final defender. And he does it successfully. And we're straight into the tactic screens, both players probably adjusting things, noticing where maybe stamina's been depleted. Look at Van Dijk.
Knackered.
Absolutely run ragged. Get him off the pitch. But you've got Ramos on the bench, you've got Zambrotta if you wanted to use him at fullback as well. I feel like Ramos is probably going to make his way on, because otherwise Van Dijk is going to leave his defence quite vulnerable.
Especially when you have those substitutes coming on in the attacking capacity as well. Let's see if that change is made, and there it is. Ramos will be introduced to give that extra burst of pace and that stamina.
And that will be probably press after possession lost, using team press as well. It really does chomp away at the stamina of your players. And whilst it can be very beneficial because the pressure that you do apply, if the entire team starts to look like that, in the latter stages, you are going to be struggling a little bit. But as we expected, we will see a goal from Squirrel. He will continue his form in scoring in every game versus Maxi VIP.
Can Complexity answer back almost immediately here? 30 minutes left in this first game of what will be a 5-game series, potentially best of 5. And like I said earlier, it does seem like today everybody wants to try and go the distance. We saw a crazy finish a little bit earlier for the penalty shootout. There's the directional nutmeg, there's the fake shot as well, and it's desperation in defence for Complexity. But effective, and now straight up the other end. 25 minutes left to go in this game. Maxi VIP looking to flood forward.
It was good defending though, knowing when to go to ground, knowing when you have to commit to a slide tackle. Of course, it's a huge risk dropping to the floor like that if it goes wrong, but when it does go right, it does look good.
Mbappe wrestling with the centre-back, just wouldn't give him any kind of room to manoeuvre. There's Kevin De Bruyne. 5-star weak foot, phenomenal long shots on him. Don't want to let him get into range to strike one, that Team of the Year foot item. Same could be said about Bruno Fernandes as well. Not the 5-star weak foot, but the shooting statistics to rival that of Kevin De Bruyne. Here's Kylian Mbappe then. Complexity looking dangerous. The first time fake shots just milliseconds away from being the perfect execution there. But from there, you saw that running behind. I just thought that the through ball was going to be executed. Complexity win the ball back once more.
Some of these scenarios, when these players are playing with their own teams and they're playing against arguably weaker players, or, well, definitely weaker players when it comes to Ultimate Team, some of these fake shots will pay off, and it's almost a bit of force of habit. But when you've got the best players in the game, you've got Davies tracking you, for example, you've got Maldini going up against the striker, some of these skill moves and some of these attempts, they don't really work as well against them. Maybe 1 in 10 you'll see it happen, but it is worth trying for that 1 in 10, because when they do pay off, you get a clear-cut chance. You should be able to score from it.
Approaching the 18-minute mark then. Nothing to separate the two players, but here comes NYCFC. And here goes R9 with a chance to strike! And you almost expected the net to be bulging there, but it goes wide of the upright.
Just slightly off balance with the half volley in the end. I've seen him go in, but at the same time, there was always going to be that risk of it going wide, but it was a dangerous time for Maxi VIP, and I'm sure he was looking at that one, just looking to the heavens, saying, thank goodness it didn't. Because it's still game on. He doesn't want to put too much pressure on his teammate, Joksan. Despite the fact that Joksan does have the better record against NYC Chris. Chris is a fantastic player. He can definitely pull them out when it comes down to it.
Two of the best of the world about to come up on the PlayStation, but for now, one of the last attacks of the games. It could be Complexity as Maxi goes through on goal and buries the chance presented to him. Phenomenal stuff coming in from Maxi VIP, and that could be a very important goal.
The directional nutmeg just creates so much space, almost too much space. It looked like he was going to leave the ball behind him. But thankfully, enough agility on the player to just shift back and then strike it across goal. A huge moment for Maxi VIP and Complexity. Squirrel with very little time to answer back. Straight into the tactics. Get as aggressive as you can, because you've got maybe one attack left. Potentially two if Maxi VIP makes a defensive mistake. If you are Maxi here from the kickoff, try and win that ball back instantly. Maybe even take the player down if you have to. Just disrupt the attack and allow those players to set up shop at the back.
Once again, the E-Club World Cup is where Maxi VIP comes to life. And for Complexity and all of the fans watching at home, they're just hoping now the Complexity man could hold on to this. On the other side of things, Squirrel will be looking for that one last opportunity to find an equaliser. Big challenge coming in though, and Complexity can break away.
And now this is where Maxi VIP should show the professional player he is, how he can kill off games, how he can ensure there's not going to be another attack for Squirrel.
Ball in behind, he can finish it off here. Two players free in the middle. It'll go out for a corner, and to be honest with you, I think Complexity fans will be absolutely fine with that. And this one will be taken short. We're into the 90th minute now, Dan.
Every second counts here. Wait until that game forces you to take it short. Just the 1 minute of added on time. Squirrel has to win the ball back here, but doesn't. Time management. And that's going to be game.
Unbelievable performance then in the first game from Maxi VIP. The Complexity man you can see on your screen, but not getting carried away with things here, Dan. You can see that he knows there is a long, long way to go. But step one in the road to essentially retaining the title that they would have never lost has been completed.
Well, considering that Maxi has only beaten Squirrel once out of the 5 times they've gone up against each other, he will be delighted, because now it's very much advantage Complexity. If Joksan wins both his games, they have won the tournament. And Joksan is expected to win those games with the historic performance he's had against NYC Chris. But these are the goals anyway. We've seen so many goals scored like this, the directional nutmeg, and Mbappe almost leaving the ball behind. I'm glad he did get to it, because they deserved a goal after that chance created. But now Joksan's going to be watching on and say, hey, I can take us to 2-0 here if I can still find that same form that I've had against NYC Chris.
The interesting thing for me, though, we were talking beforehand before we were live, and we were talking about the comparison between Joksan, who has won back-to-back regional qualifiers in North America, beating Chris along the way, of course, as well, and his opponent, Chris, and we were saying that we feel like Joksan is arguably one of the most consistent performers, right, in the whole of the world, not just North America, but especially in this particular region. But we also feel like the NYC man, Chris, has this higher skill ceiling, but just hits it less often than the consistency we see from Joksan. So it kind of depends. If the best Chris turns up here, I still think he can do a job here on Joksan.
We are getting to look at the birthday boy as well. They're 23 years old today.
Happy birthday.
And I'm sure he would love an E-Club World Cup title to go alongside it. But yeah, you're completely right. When you look at Chris's highest highs, there he is on your screen, the E-Champions League winner. Not many people will ever get to say that. He got to lift the trophy at the actual Champions League final, pitch side. That is something that, well, I mean, nowadays, will we ever see something like that again?
Ago, doesn't it?
With a crowd, amazing for him. But Joksan's had the consistency. When we go back to Paris Games Week of FIFA 19 is when he really showed up as one of the best defenders in the game. We've seen him win multiple online championships as well. And yeah, recently, when he has gone up against Chris, it was a back-to-back performance for him. He came from a lower bracket in a double elimination system, and he won 4-3 and 4-3. Just ice in his veins completely. Everyone watching was just so amazed by how he was able to take down the beast that is NYC Chris. And I'm sure Chris is going to be thinking about that. Chris will be thinking, like, surely I've got to start getting some results against this man.
Well, we know the results have got to come in here for NYC. But at the moment, they're down 1. Complexity with a fantastic performance. We're going to throw it over to Layla and Spencer, though, to give us their thoughts on that first game.
So we're at the first leg, Complexity with the advantage. How important is it to start off these best of 3 with a win?
I think in this, well, it's always important, but I think in this case, it's a really vital win for this series of games. I think the fact that you've got to remember, NYC chose to start on Xbox.
Yeah.
That intimates they feel more confident on that console, which they've just lost on. It sets them up for a fall in future games. If Joksan, you know, delivers, we're going to see some great matches between Joksan and Chris, first and second in North America. So that's unbelievable. But if you look at the match we just had, that's 23rd in North America on Xbox, Maxi, beating 7th. That's a pretty big win. 16 places between them. Should be pretty happy with that. But it doesn't necessarily mean anything's finished. We've seen plenty of turnarounds. We saw a sweep, a reverse sweep, we should say, just last time out. You can win the opening 2 games and still not win the whole thing. So let's not get carried away. But if Joksan does what we think he might, based on the 5-0 win versus Chris in the group stage, it'll be 2-0.
Well, let's talk about that now, because it is very different performing on this stage than it is on the group stage.
Yeah, I mean, every game you get against someone, you get a little bit more time to play them. And even if it's someone you've played fairly recently, don't forget the game's patches come out and change the game slightly. So recent matches are most important, and Chris might have a plan for it. And we saw what Principe did in Zone 4 after playing Uston, changing his formation dramatically to great effect. Has Chris got the same sort of plan for Joksan? We're going to wait and find out.
We're going to wait and find out. And Joksan, as a player, individually, tell me a little bit about him and what you think, what kind of tactics he'll use today.
Yeah, well, I mean, Joksan doesn't need to change anything that he's been doing, because it's been working for him very well, not just in this format, but across the region this year already. I mean, he's #1 in that region for a reason. And he would have played Chris plenty of times before. I think I agree with what the guys are saying, though. I mean, we've seen Chris put in some unbelievable performances in the past. Is he going to turn up for this one in that respect? Can he channel it now? That's exactly, not to keep mentioning it, but that's what Principe did in Zone 4. We were writing him off, and he said, you know what, I've actually got this in my locker when I need it, and that's exactly what he did. So that's the challenge for Chris. He needs to do it, because unfortunately, his teammate in Squirrel, we thought would get the win, didn't get it.
Also with Joksan now knowing that his teammate did get it, that gives him a little bit of boost of confidence as well?
Takes a bit of pressure off him. Yeah, I think that, I mean, that's always been the thing with Max at Complexity, is that it feels like he was a little bit in Joksan's shadow for a long time. I think the Club World Cup this time last year changed that. He got taken a bit more seriously. But even then, I remember after the event, like, Joksan was making little jokes with Maxi, like, in a friendly way, but saying sort of like, oh, I carried you, bro, and stuff like this.
Yeah.
Like, you know, every time Max gets a win like that, he kind of reasserts his reason for being there and why they're such a dynamic duo. And yeah, it takes pressure off Joksan. He can go into this game not needing a win, but if he gets it, they're in great shape.
Well, let's see how they do as Chris and Joksan step in on the PS4. It's back over to our casters.
Some fantastic insight there from Layla and Spencer on what is going to be a big swing game in the complexion of this series. Complexity, obviously, with a huge advantage now with the one leg advantage, I should say, after the 2-1 win for Maxi VIP. What are your thoughts on this game coming up, though? Because it is the two titans, I should say, of North America about to battle it out.
So if we look at the last 8 games that these guys have faced, that's including the qualifiers in this tournament and the 2 most recent games in the North American Global Series, we've seen 6 victories for Joxan, and we've only seen NYC Chris win twice. And the games that he did win, like Spencer was mentioning, were in the earlier stages and in an earlier patch of FIFA. Ever since we've seen the later patches, ever since the bridge was nerfed, which was something that NYC Chris used a lot, he hasn't been able to find those results against Joxan. Joxan kind of sets up shop, defends fantastically, is often playing that 5 at the back meta formation, and then has been finding goals. He's won 4-1, he's won 5-0, and then the 2 4-3s we saw in the Global Series as well. I would say it's advantage Joxan, but if we can see maybe 2 early goals from NYC Chris, he could take this one.
It's always interesting for me to watch Joxan play, because we're always like, Joxan gets a lead. That's where he likes to control the game. He keeps possession very well, and he's very economical in how he goes forward and creates attacks from that. However, there's also the other side to Joxan, which we don't talk enough about, which is when he goes behind, he has the ability to flick a switch and all of a sudden has players charging forward. And one thing that really stood out for me, a lot of people might have not watched a lot of the North American FIFA that's been going on this year. If you haven't, then you really should get involved. But one thing that stood out to me is the ability of Joxan now inside and around the 18-yard box. The addition of skill moves that he's added, that little bit of flair to his game, which makes him even more unpredictable, adds that unpredictability to his game. Because we know, defensively, absolutely solid. He is rock solid at the back. But to have that little bit of spice to add to those attacks, it's made him even better as a player.
The 5-3-2 formation is perfect for Joxan, because not only does it give you that stability you're talking about at the back, where the players just jam-pack the box and it's so difficult to break down, but it's also the attacking intent you can have with that 5-3-2. Those 2 wing-backs, he often plays the likes of Mbappe at right back. He plays Davies at left back, because Davies can play anywhere with that new Team of the Year item. But it creates so much space going forward that I just think it is exactly what Joxan was searching for in a formation. It just happens to be pretty much the best in the game. And the real question is going to be how NYC Chris looks to counter at that. He will certainly know that in recent times he hasn't been able to find a result against Joxan. And if he looks at formations as the first and foremost thing, perhaps he will look to try and pack that midfield. Go for something like a 4-5-1. Something that we actually saw Joxan's teammate talk about on broadcast, about one of the ways to break that down. Alan was saying so much about how you beat the 5-3-2. I wonder whether Chris was listening to that.
Well, hopefully Chris was listening, and I'm sure that Chris has got a game plan. These two have matched up numerous times in North America, and as we said, Joxan has had the advantage, but New York City's Chris is a special kind of player on his day, and he has the ability to elevate that game for the big occasion. It will be Chris with possession from the start here. A reminder, if you just joined us, Complexity won that first game. As we see, the ball in early, Cristiano Ronaldo, the ball was just behind him. As he took to the skies to try and find that header, but already a little bit of experimentation early on here from Chris.
What I will say is when Chris does start scoring, the goals do flood in afterwards. 71 goals in 24 games for him.
Here's Cristiano Ronaldo. McGeady cancel inside the box. Davis will get a block on it, but possession still here with Chris. Doing a great job of moving that ball quickly in and around the 18-yard box. Cristiano Ronaldo stops up. Criqueta bought enough time for him to go back to Bruno Fernandes. Here is the ball inside the box.
What?
Ronaldo goes down, and I just looked across to Chris's face there because I just wondered if there would be a reaction. Historically, Chris quite an emotional player. However, something that he's added to his game is the ability to put those big moments and things that he might feel have gone against him to the back of his mind.
I mean, we've seen Maldini give away a lot of penalties. It did look a little bit dodgy, but must have won the ball.
Well, Pele looking to make a difference just inside the 18-yard box again, but you have to say that Chris has been completely dominant at the start of this game.
But hasn't had a goal to show for it, and I think that's what's important for Joxan. He is more than happy to soak up that pressure, deplete the stamina a little bit of his opposition, who is probably going to be pressing quite a lot to try and win the ball back after they've been going for goal for so long. But now he can look to attack.
And it will be classic Joxan to convert from his first opportunity. There is the ball, and there is the goal! He is deadly when he gets the chance to strike. Complexity strike first.
He just sits back, he watches Chris and says, come on, give it a go. There was a shout for a penalty. The referee deemed it not one. We see Joksan go all the way up the other end, patiently building, slicing through Chris's defence. Gets a goal from his first attack in advantage Joksan in what was already advantage complexity.
Plenty of time to go though. Chris will be buoyed, even though he finds himself one down. I know it's a strange thing to say, but with the way that he's already been able to pressure Joksan in this game. But for Joksan, everything going to game plan here. Keeping Chris out early, getting that first goal as well, and now making Chris try and break him down and trying to strike on the counter-attack.
Honestly, I think it's a shame for Joksan that this year has been restricted to regional events, because I think he could be winning international events with how he's been playing in this iteration of FIFA. And I hope it carries on to the next.
Well, here's Mbappe 1v1 with his man. Player switch will bring Van Dijk into the action to try and deal with the Frenchman dropping just outside the 18-yard box. Here's the goal scorer, Bruno Fernandes. There's potentially another goal scorer here. A last-second block note comes in to keep this at 1-0.
Joksan just looks so scary going forward. He's got all the skills added to his arsenal now. And from Chris, we need to see a little bit of magic on his end. We saw him in the early stages of the North American qualifiers. It was bridge after bridge after bridge, and it was successful. But that bridge now has taken a nerf, and the directional nutmeg does a very similar thing for your playstyle, so I wouldn't be surprised if we see a couple of them pulled out from Chris here.
Here comes Chris. There is one of those directional nutmegs, and it was perfectly timed as well. Unfortunately for Chris, there was another defender in the way that just come across to deal with the danger. But good signs here for Chris. Ball around the corner now to Johan Cruyff. There's the heel-to-heel. There's the burst of acceleration as well, but not enough to get away from the defender.
And that was a situation where, with Cruyff there, with a bridge, you probably get away from the man before the nerf. And you've got a free pass into the middle, and it's all about whether the defender can get in and block it. Heel-to-heel, one of the attempted replacements for it, to just try and push the ball away, generate a bit of space. Joksan still defending strong as expected.
Now attacking once more. 15 minutes or so till half-time. Well, it should collect that for NYC. Chris, and does so, and now tries to turn defence into attack almost immediately. So close to getting that ball down the line. Cruyff had got in behind his man as well, the ball roll, to try and create the angle. But again, Joksan just so good at positioning those players defensively.
And I have to say, for all we talk about Joksan's defence, and you mentioned how good he is going forward, I mean, 74 goals, make it 75 with this one in competition. It's so deadly.
And almost even more deadly. It's almost a surprise to see Joksan get a sighted goal and not find the back of the net. And then straight up the other end, having not taken that chance, Chris has got the chance to equalise! And he takes it. 1-1 now in game number 2.
I think that's what the game deserved as well. I know it is a counter-attack, and it's one that Joksan just couldn't quite get back to. The real dangers of the through balls in FIFA 21. But I'm glad we've seen composure from Chris in that one-on-one scenario. This weekend, I've seen those missed. I've seen people just fluff them. Indecisive in front of goal. They're very easy when you get the ball roll timed correctly. And Chris now can just relax a little bit and say, okay, there is my goal. I have been dominating possession against a player who usually dominates possession against me. If I can win the ball back here, maybe I can get one more chance before half-time.
For Joksan, you've got to be thinking, what's going through his mind? A few moments before, perfect chance to make it 2-1. A huge save coming in from the goalkeeper, and then straight up the other end, as sometimes happens in FIFA, as we all know. He finds himself with the game being tied up.
And it is why we see some players reluctant to actually attack. A big example would be Houston in the zone finals earlier for Europe. For the last 15 minutes of regular time and then 30 minutes of extra time, he just wasn't going forward because he knew if he went for an attack and he made a mistake, he could quite easily concede on the counter-attack. I think that's a negative style of play, and it was not what I would expect from Houston, but we do see it sometimes because it's such fine margins when you lose the ball, and how incredible those through balls are. Maybe too incredible in FIFA 21.
Here the highlights there, the 2 goals that we did see. First one, Bruno Fernandes. Quick pass in exchange on the edge of that 18-yard box. And this was the chance. Big save. Not for the first time we've seen coming in from Peter Schmeichel. Getting a foot on that one. And almost immediately, straight up the other end. Ronaldo gets the wrong side of his man. As you would say, Dan, a simple ball roll. Just to the side to create the angle. And that's where we find ourselves right now. Back underway live. 1-1 between the two clubs.
And Joksan did opt to switch defenders there to try and win the ball back and try and press across the defender rather than taking the straight race with Cristiano Ronaldo, which probably was the right decision, but looking at it again, I wonder whether the defender might have just been able to put enough pressure to make the shot at least have the chance of missing from Cristiano Ronaldo. Even if you're not going to get back, sometimes that pressure can actually make that shot go wide.
Chris stepping through the midfield now. And we had a look at the tactics screen as well. You saw that both players actually playing the 4-4-2. One of them playing the slightly more defensive variant. That was Chris with those two players sitting a little bit deeper, those two central defensive midfielders instead of the standard central midfield position. Davis doesn't get a part of that, and Pele's trying to spin in behind now. You can see at the bottom of your screen. With Fernandes. Back inside to Hullet. Fernandes in a pocket of space as well. Waiting for that off-the-ball movement from some of those players in front of him, but Chris defending exceptionally well. And this is one thing we also noted during what we've seen of Chris so far this year. Defensively has improved his game markedly.
And I think Joksan's changed from the 5 at the back formation that we've seen him dominate with, and he's got 4 at the back, maybe reverted to his more usual 4-4-2. Perhaps feels like the 5-3-2 isn't offering him enough going forward anymore, and Chris kind of found a way to combat those wing backs getting up the pitch. So instead trying to have that traditional battle in the midfield instead.
Ball at the feet of Kylian Mbappe. 60 minutes on the clock here. This is where games start to open up, especially in these best-of-1 situations. Big interception once more. Now, chances are going to be at a premium towards the end of this game. But if one of them does go in, then you're going to see some fireworks as the other player has to try and force their way back into this.
And if this is a victory for Complexity, it puts them 2 up in the series and hands over the chance to Maxi VIP to win this 3-0. We haven't seen many 3-0s in the zone finals. We've seen very closely contested games. I'm sure Chris will want to take this to at least a game 4 by getting a victory here, but with the amount of extra times and penalties we've seen, I wouldn't be surprised if we head that way either.
That's a great little ball there from Joksan as well, just to take those 2 central midfielders out of the game. The pressure on the ball, just lofting it over. And now the ball into the feet of Cristiano Ronaldo. Well read there by Virgil van Dijk and Chris, though, and maybe another opportunity to counter-attack. You saw him thinking about that through ball once more, but cancelled it at the last second. Now feeds Johan Cruyff on this left-hand side. Attack just slowed down momentarily. Mbappe now tied up at 1-1 in this game, and almost Cristiano Ronaldo running the gauntlet there to get that strike away.
Almost bundled his way through, and Chris knew that that could have been a chance. Now he has to switch on, focus. Joksan will look to play the ball around and bide his time until a chance presents itself. Not able to win the ball back, but now he is. Cruyff doing very well to rescue that one. Otherwise it could have been another counter-attack possibility.
Just pinched it at the last second because it looked like the ball might have gone out of play for a NYCFC throwing on that far side, and now Chris has got to defend. He's got to defend well here. 15 minutes left in this game. Ronaldo manages to get away from his man for just a second. Once again, the 2 midfielders, Fernandes and Hullet, exchanging passes, trying to look for that opening. There is actually an overlap here. You can see it's going to be Pele with a chance at goal. The outstretched leg of the defender got it away, even with the linesman's flag going up to bring this back for a free kick.
You see what Joksan's trying to do against Chris. He can see the CDMs just jockeying, so he's trying to play it past the CDMs and force Chris to bring one of those centre-backs out of position to go for a 1-2. Chris being very successful with his player switching and keeping up with play.
10 minutes to go in this game then. Complexity, 1 up in the series. This game tied up at 1-1. Ronaldo. Chris looking for the opportunity, maybe to take this game and tie up the series, but also needs to be careful with possession here. If he loses it, when the counter-attack happens, and you can see the frustration on his face because he knows what I was about to say at the end of that sentence. He might leave himself open to losing this game now.
I think one thing that he's fortunate with is the fact that Joksan isn't really a counter-attacking player. He was more than happy to go backwards and say, all right, I'm just going to allow my players to push up the pitch naturally, rather than going for one of those long through balls to try and penetrate the defence. He still has that possession, a little bit of space for Cruyff here.
Oh, and he's managed to get past his man as well. Cruyff inside the box, and oh my word! Drama in the last few moments here. But brilliance from Joksan to win the penalty. Fernandez steps up to win it here, and he puts it away. Surely not enough time for NYCFC to get back into this one.
And that could be a series losing moment for Chris. Cruyff was just able to worm his way through initially, then Chris had another stab at it with the defender. And sometimes when you do go for any sort of skill move in the box, the defender is always going to be at risk of giving away a penalty if they don't win the ball back cleanly. Joksan takes that every day of the week, and without hesitation puts it away. And now just mere moments left for Chris. One last attack to try and get just a draw to go to extra time. Otherwise, it's likely Complexity take a 2-0 lead in this series, and it's suddenly back over to Maxi VIP to take it home.
And is that too much of a lead to try and pull back? We've already seen one reverse sweep in our zone finals across the time that we've been here. There's still some time left. Not a lot of it. If Chris can nip possession back here, never say never. We've seen crazier things happen over the last few days.
It was a good penalty as well. It's going to be a very nervy moment when you know that that penalty can likely be the winner. Two players who have faced each other enough, and there has been penalties in those games. There would have been arguably a little bit of research as well. When you look at real football and you look at how goalkeepers research where people go, I'm sure there's someone on that Complexity eSports organisation who has a job to look at stats like that.
Into the 90th minute then. Big tackle from the goal scorer, Bruno Fernandes, who's been a hero for Joksan and Complexity in this game. Throw in for Complexity. If Chris can read this and maybe just nip it back, he might have a chance to go forward, but instead, time has now elapsed. The ball is out of play, and Complexity take a 2-game advantage here. The reigning E-Club World Cup champions are looking to go back-to-back.
A 7th win for Joksan then against Chris in recent times, and Chris still seems to have that issue going up against Joksan. We just can't quite get there, and it's such tight margins. I mean, that penalty, I'm sure that we'll see replays later, but it's just one of those where you feel a little bit hard done by if you are the defending player.
Big contact, is it? Yeah.
Especially when the initial time that Cruyff has got through, that was probably difficult enough to deal with, where Chris has gone, oh God, well now I have to suddenly play a switch and try and defend. He's then managed to get the player across to get in front of Cruyff again. But the initiative from Joksan to say, actually, well, if I go for a skill move here, there is a chance that if the defender does miss the tackle, will be a penalty.
Especially in that moment as well, where there's so much pressure, right? You've got to win that ball. You know that if you don't make a tackle, then Cruyff is going to, on either foot, pretty much test the goalkeeper and potentially win it anyway. It's a very difficult situation for Chris to find himself in there. But now, Dan, I mean, you look at the scores in front of us. Complexity now just one game away. And for all the talk about Joksan, it's now on Maxi's shoulders once more to close it out. Close it out for them.
And we thought that Xbox gives the advantage to NYC because we have Squirrel playing against Maxi VIP and because Squirrel has those results against Maxi. But Maxi's already won one. If he wins another, they're going to win this.
Well, after 2 games, we know that Complexity are looking strong, and we're going to go over to Spencer now with some analysis from the first 2 games.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. There was a really important goal in that game. Obviously, the last goal, the most important, which Joksan gets the win. But before that, there was a moment where Chris obviously got himself back level right off the back of a chance from Joksan where he nearly went 2-0 up. And it shows you how quickly things can change in FIFA, particularly if you play a certain way. Let's take a look at this. So this is the chance for Joksan. He's 1-0 up at this point, as you can see, for Complexity. He's looking to make it 2. So he's working his way into the box here. Slow it down a little bit. He gets the shot off. Good passing. Not much more he could have done. Unfortunately, as we've seen so many people happened to them over the last few days, Schmeichel got in the way with a great save. Now watch what happens here, okay? We have this man here for Chris. He's about to get this ball from the save from Schmeichel. He's going to be the first of 3 passes that are going to be between a save and a goal at the other end. It's very quick counter-attacking play from NYC Chris. Shows you how quickly things can change. It's going to come to this man with a header. He's going to head it to the right. Meets this man here. So we've gone 1, pass number 1. We're going to see 1 to here, and then we're going to see a really good through ball. So let's just play it forward. He gets it over to this man here. Nice little turn on the ball, and then wait for it. This is as he's about to release it. This will be the final pass. And if you have a look at the striker here, how well timed his run is. Exactly as he releases the pass, he's right on the last defender, just onside, but very close to offside. Perfectly measured. Here's the ball. What a through ball that is. Very big part of the game this year, these through balls, and once you get through, Chris does the rest. So that took it from 1-0 to 1-1, but it could have been 2-0 in a flash. Obviously, Complexity get the win in the end, but it shows you how quickly things can change, and we saw how quickly things can change at the end of the game as well, didn't we, later? With that penalty, we looked like we were going to extra time. Yoksan steps up. Chris was devastated. I don't blame him, and now it's over to Squirrel to see if he can save it. But I think it's a great story, the NYC Chris story. I don't know if you're aware of it. He actually is from Haiti originally, and after the earthquake was moved to America, where he was able to create this whole new life for himself as obviously a FIFA pro player. So very inspirational, obviously, what he did with the E-Champions League, but he's in danger of getting knocked out here if his teammate doesn't step up.
In a lot of danger here. So the 2-game advantage to the reigning champions. The birthday party for Joksan's going rather well so far.
Yeah, I mean, certainly with that late goal, he'll be loving life, and he might not have to play again. He might just have that one game and he's done for the day, which should make his birthday even less stressful, I'm sure. I mean, obviously, we believe Squirrel was a slight favourite against Maxi. The fact that Squirrel's 7th ranking and Maxi's 23rd, there's a bit of a gap there. We didn't see that in that game between them. 2-1 win for Maxi. If he does the same thing again here, as I mentioned, it's over. It's time for Squirrel to kind of live up to his favourite tag, justify the decision for putting Xbox first.
Yes.
It's a huge decision. Might backfire for them, but if he can get the win, we're going to go to a 4th game minimum.
We say it might backfire for them. We thought that Xbox was, well, that was the choice that they made for NYC. We thought that was going to be their push, but now Max versus Squirrel again. What do you think is going to happen here, and what could change from the first time they met?
I think it was the right decision, statistically speaking. I don't think they've done anything different to anyone else would have done by avoiding the 3 Yoksan games. We've just seen there what Yoksan's capable of. Although, in fairness to Chris, he's turned it around. Last time those two played each other, Yoksan won 5-0. Instead, that time, it was a last-minute winner on a penalty that got Yoksan the win. So, yeah, I mean, Squirrel needs to step up now and show us why he's 7th in the world, show us why New York, gave him this contract and got him involved. I'm sure he's capable of it. And Max has got no pressure on him whatsoever. If he takes the loss here, it goes over to Yoksan to seal the deal. So, Complexity in amazing shape.
So the gap could be closing. Sam is back with us, our zone reporter. Sam, are you there? Hello.
Hi, I'm here.
Hi. Walk us through your thoughts on that, on the first 2 games, the first 2 legs.
Certainly nothing surprising. It seems like my prediction might be accurate, but I just want to say, do not count out NYCFC. Both of these games, even though it looks like it's just 2 wins to Complexity, they were both very close 2-1 wins, and it's absolutely possible that NYCFC could pull off the reverse sweep. However, I'm not surprised by these results. I said before these games started that Max in particular was very good at closing out those 70th, 80th minute, last minute wins, and that's exactly what he did. So I'm absolutely not surprised by these results.
It's amazing, Max, because he's able to find this form in this tournament, isn't he, Sam? Like, if he was putting these sort of performances together all season long, he'd be a lot higher than 23rd on the rankings, wouldn't he?
Definitely. Whenever he's in this team dynamic, we saw it last year with when they won Complexity Gaming, when they won the E-Club World Cup last year, and it looks like he's doing it again this year. It's not a surprise to me.
Joksan's beaten Chris 7 times. We saw Chris being quite frustrated there as well. What does NYCFC need to do now to change their mindset?
I think they just, it's a little bit of a cliche, but they have to put these 2 games behind them. They need to just focus on it 1 game at a time. If they just forget about the fact that they're 2 games down, Squirrel can absolutely beat Max. I have a funny small anecdote for you. I actually hosted a North American practice tournament a few months ago, and the final was actually between Max and Squirrel. The first leg of the final, Max won 5-1. At the end of the second leg, the aggregate score was 8-6 to Squirrel. He pulled off a ridiculous comeback. I've seen these guys play, and it's always a really, really exciting game. So definitely not going to count out Squirrel from this next fixture.
Sam, thank you so much. That adds a whole nother layer to it. We're going to find out now what happens as we go on to our third leg. It's back over to our casters.
It is indeed time to find out what is going to happen, and the exciting thing for me is that we're going to need to see that form now from Squirrel, Dan, because it's do or die here for NYC FC. If they don't win this game and Complexity take this next game, they will be, once again, the champions.
When you look at the results Squirrel has had against Maxi VIP in particular, when he lost against Maxi VIP in the qualifiers, he lost 6-5, but every other game, he kept Maxi VIP at just one goal. He won 2-1, he won 5-1, he won 3-1. So I think it's just very important that he gets the first goal just to kind of peg Maxi VIP back a little bit and don't allow him to get away. Because otherwise, Maxi is just going to do exactly the same thing that we saw in the first game.
Well, this is a massive, massive game. And could well be the final game, not only of Zone 6, but of the FIFA E-Club World Cup 2021. If Complexity and Maxi VIP pick up a historic win here in this game, they would be champions. But for NYCFC, it's time for Squirrel to step up for me. I hear all these good things about him. I see these moments of magic, Dan. But now, when the pressure is on, you need to see him perform at his highest level.
Yeah, assert dominance early. Just get aggressive, push for that goal, and say to Maxi VIP, all right, this tournament isn't over just yet for NYC. We can get results. Maxi VIP is someone who has bailed under pressure previously, despite the fact that in the 2020 Club World Cup, he was very consistent and hold on to those victories. He said himself that he has thrown away leads.
Well, maybe it's going to be the first goal of the game, and just as R9 was about to pull the trigger there for NYCFC, the defender appeared out of the shadows and got a foot in it, but that was a massive chance. There was space for R9. Just wasn't taken.
Bullet doing a great job in midfield to now allow a counter from Squirrel, and these are the situations where he has to take advantage of. Before Maxi has been able to get all those players back and put a wall in front of the box.
Vieira and Hullet, the iconic duo midfield here, looking to inspire Squirrel. Unfortunately for NYCFC and Squirrel, defensively solid once again is Complexity's Maxi VIP. Now, for me, if Complexity score this first goal here, it's going to force Squirrel to play his natural game, fly forward. And that could be the momentum swing that he needs. On the other side of things, if it's Squirrel who scores that first goal, it's about his ball, it's about being able to hold on to that lead. Something we have seen Complexity do extremely well.
I think you're right. Some players almost need to concede the first goal just to get them out of a shell a little bit. They get sucked into how their opposition play, the slow, methodical style that doesn't suit everyone. But Squirrel knows if he does try and attack too quickly, he's going to leave himself a little bit vulnerable to that counter-attack from Maxi, so probably feels like he's damned if he does, damned if he doesn't. Might just need a goal conceded to force him back to what he knows and what he loves. He usually plays a game of FIFA. For Complexity, they're so close to retaining their title. I mean, they were going to retain it anyway because this is more of a regional competition, but at least no one can argue it when the Club World Cup does come back around. What a moment it would be, especially for Maxi VIP. I think this is more important for him than it is for Joxan because it hasn't been the best of seasons. We've not seen him in those North American Global Series events that we have had the chance to commentate over. And actually, he was one of the commentators for those events. He got to be on the other side for a change. I'm sure he would love, well, the cash, the $22,000 that's available for the winners here, but also being able to say, actually, I am still at the top of the game. I am a champion.
And to not have to cast with me again. As we know that is a struggle in itself, as you well know. 28 minutes gone in this game. Complexity now stepping forward. Maxi VIP, he did score that first goal, remember. In the first matchup between these two players, doing well on picking the ball up quite high up the pitch at the moment. Squirrel really struggling to get out. You can see the overlapping run as well, but an under-hit pass is just going to present possession back.
In my mind, I'm still thinking $22,000 all casting with you, and it's a difficult decision.
No question.
To be completely honest. A couple of misled passes, gone wayward here, allowing Complexity's Maxi VIP to attack, but that final pass just not quite getting through at the moment. But it's okay when it's 0-0. It starts to get a little bit more frustrating if you had conceded a goal at this point. Both players so evenly matched.
But there is nerves in this game, and you know you can feel it from both sides, right? Squirrel knows that if he loses this game, it's over. That'll be 2 losses on his record. For Maxi, it's nerves in knowing that this may be a chance that they might not get again to close this out and call themselves a champion once more. As a loose pass once again. There's been a few loose passes so far in this game, Dan.
Yeah, and I think that's just maybe risks being taken, a couple of passes that aren't necessarily on, but if they are completed, they would make a huge difference in the attack that follows. I think that Chris is going to be watching on and just hoping that he gets another chance at Joksan to try and redeem himself in a game that was so close, and he most likely will feel quite hard done by, with a penalty being the way that he loses it. He has beaten Joksan before, so it's not like it's unachievable for him.
Well, it intercepts once more. Tries to move that ball forward quickly here, just before half-time, and a goal here would be absolutely massive in the complexion of this final. Squirrel does have possession for New York City FC. See, just biding his time, making sure he has the last attack of this game. Back to VIP, not biting at the bait yet. Now the team in blue step forward. What a ball that in as well! And what a miss! It was from Ronaldo, but the ball unfortunately found him in an offside position. But what a scary, scary moment that was for Maxi VIP.
I mean, that's what Squirrel was waiting for Maxi VIP to chomp at the bait that you were saying. Just drag one of those players out of position. I was going to say the player switching from Maxi had been so incredible, and I mean, guess you can say it there. He's been able to bring the players to ensure there's an offside trap, so it's not necessarily a mistake from him. But he's just trying to dictate the pace of the play with his player switching. You can see that he's jockeying successfully. He's trying to usher Squirrel to play the ball in certain areas and say, look, you can have the right side of the pitch, but you're not getting the midfield. If you go for one of these passes, you're at risk of giving the ball away to the hullet that I'm controlling. And if he does win that ball back, the counter-attack is going to be available, but very good player switching from Maxi.
Yeah, very good stuff from both players. It's been a game of pretty much 0 chances, to be honest with you, between the two players, and it's just another example of how much is on the line for both of them. We talk about the money, we talk about the prestige, and we talk about the chance. This is the last chance saloon here for NYC eSports. It's to get back into this game, because if they lose this, they're out of it. And for Squirrel, that's the kind of situation as a player that molds you, right? He's a young player. He's come through the North American scene, and this is what puts hairs on your chin, hairs on your chest. I don't know what the saying is, but it's somewhere.
Online qualifiers. I mean, Squirrel literally was born very recently. I mean, he's a very young player. A lot of these players are nowadays that compete in FIFA eSports, and they won't know the trials and tribulations that we went through back in the day of online tournaments. A lot better are the connections nowadays.
There will be complexity, and Maxi VIP stepping forward at the start of the second half. Tries that first time pass. You can see the idea there. Any problem with that puzzle is one of the pieces was missing to complete that full picture towards goal. But down this right-hand side, Alexander-Arnold tries to feed that ball into Pele. Don't mind that too much, to be honest with you, because that's the kind of thing that can happen. A little bit of a loss of focus there from Maxi VIP. Just going to give ground and possession away. Now it's about finding that pass, finding that moment in the game, finding the bit of magic that's in the end of the fingers to create that chance on goal.
I'm sure people watching on the neutrals hoping for a goal from Squirrel just so this final goes a little bit further. However, for Complexity fans, I'm sure they'd be more than happy with a 3-0 victory in this grand final, taking home that $22,000 first place prize. Earlier, I was trying to go for a Bane reference, you know, like they were born in it, I was moulded by it, but I just didn't know where to go with it. I'm going to be completely honest.
It happens. Nobody noticed, apart from everybody watching. Bullet now steps forward. Fernandez. There is room on that far side. Go for it. Doesn't play the pass though. Instead, opts to strike it, and maybe that's an example there of a bit of conflict in the mind of Maxi VIP. Do I be aggressive? Do I go for that opportunity, or do I try and hold possession? And now on the counter-attack, here comes Squirrel. Can't find that pass once more. Both these players just not finding that little linking pass in around the 18-yard box to make those opportunities clear-cut.
You have to imagine that Maxi did see the pass to Davies, but perhaps thought that Squirrel was going to try and cover it.
Well, Davies is covering ground right now. Still 0-0 in this game. Just past the hour mark as well. Cristiano Ronaldo looking for a chance to strike should that ball fall back to him, but for right now it's Kevin De Bruyne on the ball. Patience again from the complexity man, looking for that opening. Teasing and testing the defensive capabilities here of Squirrel. Finally Squirrel wins that ball back.
The E-Club World Cup of 2020 is when we saw that final and Maxi VIP just grinding out a 0-0 and then it going to penalties, and I wonder whether we're going to see something similar here, of just a game where Squirrel is unable to get past the defence of Maxi VIP. And he is controlling the game when he does get possession. Just watch how he jockeys with Hullet and Bruno Fernandes in the middle.
Great ball though. And that jockeying's not going to be useful in these positions. As Mbappe's looking dangerous inside that 18-yard box. There's the ball into R9. There's the Elastico! And they are back into this final. I talked about how it might be a bit of magic, and Squirrel has shown that in front of goal.
The thing is, the game plan was still there from Maxi. He was forcing Squirrel out wide and saying it's fine if you are on the edge of the pitch and you play it inside. I've got enough defenders to stop you from doing anything. Just that one skill move from Squirrel allows him to generate the space so he can get a shot away. And the pause menu comes up. Maxi is going to have to push forward and push forward a lot more attacking intent than we've seen previously. Otherwise, we are going to be going to a fourth leg, and Chris will get that second chance at taking on the birthday boy of Joksan.
A massive goal. Not just in this game, but for the chances of New York City Football Club moving forward to that next game, giving themselves the lifeline they need. We talk about how Squirrel has that magic, he has that skill set, that technical ability, and he does get in those 1v1 situations where if he needed a perfect illustration of it, that goal was it.
Plenty of changes coming in from Squirrel as well, like all the width, the depth being adjusted, of course. He is very much going to be relying on just winning this game 1-0 now. He has kept Maxi VIP at bay. Like, even though Maxi has had quite a lot of possession in this game, the chances have been pretty minimum. Squirrel will be knowing that and will want to play on that now. For Maxi, it has to be something a little bit different. I think back to that one chance where Davies did have all of that space with the through ball, and yes, okay, you don't necessarily want to have to rely on Davies to take a shot, but it's not like his shooting statistics are awful. He can score it.
So what a difference that goal makes to the feel of this final. Maxi VIP going to find a way back into this one, going to show us something going forward now. The Squirrel has got to be careful from this kickoff though. Got to make sure that he's switching those players into position, putting pressure on the ball where he needs to. The last thing he wants to do is, having worked so hard, to give a goal away almost immediately and let his opponent back into this game. Good pressure in defence though. Having given that ball away, but he gives it away again now.
Quite similarly to the previous game where Squirrel had always found a goal against Maxi VIP, Maxi has always found a goal against Squirrel as well. In the 6 times they have played each other, always at least one goal. And I'm sure Squirrel will be aware of that, and that's why this attempting just holding on to a 1-0 victory, 1-0 lead will always be a little bit risky. Do leave yourself vulnerable to a late dramatic equaliser.
Speaking of drama, another under-hit pass is going to be cut out here. 10 minutes left in the game. How does Squirrel approach this one? He's given the ball away. Tried to just dink it over the top again to bypass the pressure in midfield, and now you're seeing everybody flooding forward for Maxi VIP. Complexity, desperate to get back into this game.
A lot of space out wide. Just a lot of bodies in the middle. There's that through ball.
Bruno Fernandes whips it in. And almost caught the keeper off guard there.
Hit the post. Keeper just leaving it. Convinced it was going wide. Not much time left for Maxi VIP. The pressure's on. You can see the red shirts flowing forward to try and win the ball back. And Squirrel doing well to avoid the pressure. Play himself out of trouble. Looks calm on the ball.
And once again, that little dink over the top, just buying him space, but then just tries to go forward a little bit too quickly. But then smartly brings down the player on the counter-attack. But possession still with Maxi now from Complexity. Last roll of the dice now for him to send this one to extra time. Fernandes has to be patient still. Still seconds for him to work with. Cristiano Ronaldo. There's the directional nutmeg. It's going to fall back to him. And Lady Luck shines on Complexity in the dying moments of this game.
That is so difficult as a defender when you've done the right thing, you've stepped in, you've won the tackle, but the ball just falls right back at Pele's feet. That is an absolute gift to Maxi VIP in Complexity. Heartbreak for NYC Squirrel.
Unbelievable. Got a feel for Squirrel right now. I'd love to put my arm around him because there's not much you can do in that situation.
We've all been there. I hate to say it.
It's so true.
You're playing at home in your weekend league this weekend. You've made the tackle. The ball just bounces back to the opponent. And Pele is not missing from there. Even Maxi VIP shaking his head.
Always gives us drama. Always gives us talking points. And for Squirrel, well, maybe he's got something to say about this game still. Has to go forward over the allotted time. Kylian Mbappe. It's a wonder run from the Frenchman. Maybe a chance right in the depth. Can you believe it? Absolute magic from Squirrel. And what a run from Kylian Mbappe, and justice is served.
The last kick of the game. The referee was probably had the whistle on his lips. And Complexity's Maxi VIP was thinking, all right, extra time it is, but what resilience from Squirrel.
That was ridiculous. That was absolutely ridiculous, that run from Kylian Mbappe towards the end of that game. And like I said, I feel like justice is done there. And now, well, we've got ourselves a final. It was looking like Complexity were running away with things. Squirrel's got something to say about that.
That's what the people wanted. Squirrel doing it for the neutrals, doing it for the NYC fans, and well, doing it for Spencer. Spencer was saying, I mean, where is the Squirrel that we've seen, the 7th in the NA ranking Squirrel? Well, there he is. In the dying moments, you've just conceded a goal where he's probably feeling like he shouldn't concede, and he says, you know what? I'm just going to make a run with Mbappe here. Pulls out the skills, calm in front of goal as well with Ronaldo. Fantastic game.
I said, you know, with his first goal, his technical ability is up there with some of the best in the world, and you've just seen every single element of that technical ability on display with that run at the end of the game from Kylian Mbappe. You know, every single decision he had to make there had to be perfect. If he does that in the 60th minute, I'm still falling off my chair with how incredible that is. But to do it knowing that if he goes backwards at any point during that attack, that game is over and they have to go to extra time, it just, you know, the skill level is just unbelievable from Squirrel in those final minutes. I mean, I don't know what else to say about it. It's just superb.
Let's take a look at some of the goals so we can have a little... Well, we can just enjoy them again because...
I want to see about 10 replays of that final goal.
The first one was beautiful. I mean, Elastico is always going to generate enough space. The second goal, I feel hard. done by if I'm Squirrel here. He's made the challenge. Maldini's not able to hold on to it, and you're thinking there, it's extra time. Maxi VIP's thinking extra time. I've done enough. We're in the 91st minute. This is the 93rd minute now, and the referee hasn't blown the whistle.
Scoop turn, bridge, back inside as well, and then just waits that extra second for the striker to peel off his man. Maxi can't believe it. Squirrel full of belief. And now all of a sudden, that belief needs to flow through to his teammate.
NYC Chris versus Joxan. Well, here we are again. Chris really knows that Joxan is his bogey player. I mean, the fact that the last, 6 times they played against each other now, he hasn't been able to find a victory. But what if he finally manages to get over him again here in this particular matchup? And then it would go back to Squirrel, who is going to be oozing confidence after that.
Yeah, he's certainly going to be oozing confidence. I mean, that last goal, for me, goal of the tournament, without a doubt. I think just the pressure of the situation to execute all of those skill moves in, quick succession, and to have the patience to find the pass and the ability not to go backwards. It's got to be heartbreaking for Maxi, having worked his way back into the game as well. We're seconds away from extra time as well. I mean, this is the game, though. This is the game once more, and I think you set it up perfectly. Chris has not been able to take down Joxan in these big games in tournaments, in these latter moments in tournaments so far, since kind of that pre-patch era where the bridge was so effective. But now, it's the perfect opportunity to do that. All of the things that have gone before kind of get forgotten about if Chris can do it now.
And Chris was close to doing it the last time they played against each other. It's not like Joxan wiped the floor with him. It was a penalty decision that, again, if I'm in Chris's shoes, I feel a little bit hard done by. I feel like I've done enough. But he can now forget that and just say, look, if I win this game, I can pass it back over to Squirrel and give him the chance.
Well, Spencer's got some analysis from us from the last game. I'd love to see some analysis on that final goal because it was a little bit special. But you like to keep us guessing. So what have you got for us, Spencer?
I think you're going to be very happy with my analysis, Mark. It's actually 2 goals, very similar goals, both Squirrel's goals, both one player being very crucial in this, and that is Kylian Mbappe, obviously a must, team of the year, Mbappe in everyone's team. And it's basically concentrating on how one player can be the difference for you, particularly down this left-hand side. This is at 0-0, no goals till the first 71 minutes it was goalless. Mbappe gets the ball here on the left with Squirrel. Let's just slow it down for you here. So, I mean, if you look at it, there's still quite a lot to do here. You've got 2 defenders first and foremost in front of you. Let's be honest, you're going to be pretty annoyed if you're a coach of this team. 2 defenders can't handle 1 player. Let's see what he does here. He takes it right to the byline, really good close control dribbling, takes on the first man, finds space. What he does in this instance is he just holds on to the ball in that box until he has an option, until he creates that space. And the finish itself, in both goals, is going to be very simple. But it's about the build-up to it. Just keep playing it here. Loads of orange shirts around him. He uses that directional nutmeg, finds this man on the box, and then we get Ronaldo with a finish. Again, 4 players. If you rewind that a second there, we watch as that ball goes in. Look how many players are around it. 4 orange shirts, more or less. But that is what Ronaldo can do. There's a joke in there somewhere, Mark, about Squirrel liking nutmeg. That was actually Mark's joke earlier, but I'll take credit for it if you found it funny. If not, it was Mark's. Let's go into the second goal again. Now, look at the time on here. Let's focus on that before we get into anything else. Look at that time on the clock. 6 seconds left. This is what the Squirrel can do. Okay, Mbappe running down the left-hand side. Again, players all over the shop. He's weaving in and out. It's what Mbappe can do. Again, let's look at this defence. Look how many players there are. You don't see any blue shirts around him. So what that means is Mbappe needs to obviously move up the pitch, get some forwards momentum, but also wait for some players to join him because it's not going to be Mbappe that scores the goal again. Let's play it. And what he does now is just unbelievable. Look at the way he moves through these players. A little bit of luck on that deflection. He keeps hold of it here, still paws it. Still 4 players in the box. 3 blue shirts on the edge, you can see out here, but none of them quite caught up with him yet. Let's keep playing it. Beats 1 man in a second here. Kind of just bodies him, to be honest, and gets past him, and that's Mbappe's strength coming through. This man maybe should have helped out quicker. It goes to this man instead. Mbappe just moving, waiting for that time. Now look in the box. 1, 2, 3 options to pass to. Still more orange shirts than blue, but Mbappe waits for the perfect moment when it's essentially a guaranteed goal. Keeps the ball in close control. Once again, it's that man Ronaldo scoring the goal. 2 minutes 44 on injury time there, over 1 minute allotted time. So if you keep the ball and you're going in a forward momentum, that clock's going to be okay as long as you don't go backwards. That's exactly what the Squirrel did. And that's why he won. So it's fantastic, boys, don't you think?
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. For me, goal of the tournament, absolutely. And you can keep the joke, Spencer. I don't think it hit quite as either of us were wanting to. But now it sets us up beautifully for the next game. I mean, Chris
versus Joksan. And you get the feeling, don't you? Do you know, you get the feeling in the air sometimes that some results are meant to happen. Chris, who hasn't been able to take down Joksan and really struggled against him every single time he's played this year in recent time, I feel he's going to do it here. We're going to go to a game 5.
I mean, when you look at the results that they've played, so the last 6 games, it was 4-1 to Joksan, 1-0 to Joksan, 5-0 to Joksan. And then in the recent NA Global Series, it was 4-3 to Joksan, 4-3 to Joksan, and then 2-1 in the game today. Chris is getting a lot closer to trying to overturn this American giant that we see in Joksan. If it wasn't for a dodgy penalty, maybe we were going into extra time. But we go again.
Then who knows what would have happened. But here we go. Game number 4 of the best of 5. A moment of magic from Squirrel that Chris has to take inspiration from to find ourselves in this position. When Complexity do still have that 2-1 advantage, though, in the series. We have to keep that in mind. Joksan does win this game. Complexity will still be crowned the champions, but at least there's a path back into this now for New York City FC.
Chris will want this first goal. He won't want to allow Joksan to dictate the pace of this game. He went one behind in the previous affair. Joksan really did slow things down and was just biding his time. And even though there was the equaliser from Chris, I wonder whether the damage was done just eating away at the time. So when that penalty did arrive, there wasn't any time left for NYC Chris to get back into it.
First goal is absolutely massive in this game. We always say it. But just with the pressure, everything that's on the line, all of that momentum and pressure gets shifted if you're the player that goes ahead onto your opponent. But Joksan here from the corner goes all the way back to Bruno Fernandes. Going to build once again through that midfield. Ball in now to Kylian Mbappe. A little bit of space for him to work with. Beautiful dribbling, but at the last second, it was Van Dijk who stepped in, and he had to be perfect, and he was.
Van Dijk stepped in, and that's a fantastic through ball as well.
Kylian Mbappe got a chance to strike a goal. Goalkeeper equal to it. Once again, end-to-end chances.
Rare you're going to see that going in from Kylian Mbappe's left foot, but there's always the chance that the keeper parries it to the striker coming through the middle. End-to-end stuff at the moment. Chris will want it to be at this pace, I feel. We want to get Joksan out of his comfort zone.
Here's Johan Cruyff, defender having to come across to deal with it. Ball roll, scoop, turn once more. Cruyff still with possession. Gets a little bit of fortune going his way and goes for the double tap pass. Once again, the goalkeeper has to come out and get involved.
I was getting flashbacks from the previous game where Cruyff was able to bundle his way through, but it was Chris this time.
And straight up the other end now. This game being played at 1,000 miles an hour. Pele. Ball inside to Bruno Fernandes. Gullit just going to slow things down a little bit as I catch my breath.
I think it's right for Joksan to do that. I think he is far more comfortable when the game is at a slower pace and he's not having to ping it around.
Now he's injecting that pace once more. Here's Cristiano Ronaldo. Beautiful interchanging passes. Surely has to be! And Joksan does what Joksan does. Complexity. 1-0 up.
I mean, he had that through ball earlier where he could have gone for goal. He could have tried to play the pass inside. He recycled the play. He built it up. He waited for that perfect 1-2 opportunity, and he cuts through the defence of Chris yet again. And even though there was a little bit of goalkeeper movement to try and bait the shot from Chris, Joksan was not falling for it. Waited, ball rolled across, tucks it away, and Complexity have the lead again.
Still feel like that goal, even though it's gone to Complexity, doesn't change this game too much. Chris was going to have to score a couple to beat Joksan in this tie. Joksan been so good, both defensively and offensively. Chris was going to need to produce a special performance here to take him down. That's still very much the case.
Yeah, Joksan has always scored against Chris in the last 8 games they've played. Chris, however, has failed to score in 2 of their encounters. We'll be hoping for a couple of chances at goal to ensure that doesn't happen again here, though, because that would be the end of the road for NYC, and that would be the title for Complexity.
Now with Chris having to pressure that ball in midfield to try and force possession back, it is going to leave room for a ball to be just chipped into those forward players who can turn and get aggressive. A little bit of a Hail Mary there from Chris. Maybe just saw the player lining up with the last man in that defensive line and thinking he could sneak that one through with one of those through balls, but not effective that time.
And he's got time to go for those. He can go for a few Hail Marys, try and hit that through ball, try and catch Joksan off guard. But when we get a little bit further into the game, those risks suddenly may not be worth taking, and you might have to actually be a little bit more thoughtful about your attacks to try and get through the wall that is Joksan's defence.
Chris is defending well as well. And there is that through ball once more. Maldini just about has the pace to deal with it, but you can see there's certainly a decisive tactic being employed here by Chris. He thinks that he can catch Joksan.
It was how he got his goal in the last game between the two. It was a counter-attack after Joksan was so close to scoring himself.
1v1 inside the box though.
Oh,
and he's going to go down, and once again Chris gives away a penalty inside the box. For me, again, it looked like a bit of a 50-50 challenge. Maldini the culprit. And now Fernandez once again at the spot here to double the lead for complexity, but no! Chris denies him from the spot.
Needs to stay switched on though, still danger from this corner. Cannot allow Joksan to get a 2-0 lead, otherwise you could call game over if I'm completely honest.
Penalties have had a massive say in momentum shifts in these games so far. This one being saved, but you were right, Chris needs to be careful that he doesn't give away the secondary chance, and he defended that so well.
Surprised the referee didn't blow the whistle again, to be honest, with Chris's luck. He didn't get a replay of it, but it was a soft one, and you saw the frustration from Chris, but he can forget about that now. Stayed in the middle of the goal, held his ground, and is still very much in this game.
And now Chris, right at the end of this first half, is going to have the opportunity to go forward now. Fernandez fires that one out wide into the feet of Johan Cruyff. Once again, exemplary player switching from Joksan, making those spaces disappear just as quickly as they appear. And look at that, just reading the play so well.
Final attack of the half should be going to Joksan, but a little mistake and good pressure from Chris. To get an equaliser before half-time, this would be massive for him, but he goes backwards. The referee doesn't have any added on time whatsoever. It means at half-time we see a lead for Joksan, and a lead that we have seen him hold on to before. We'll take a look at the goal that Joksan scored. Maybe we'll see whether there was anything Chris could have done about it, but I don't think there was. It's just an easy 1-2, and that player just getting dragged too far out.
Yeah, you saw just a quick passing was the difference there. You saw just a little stop up and the tap of the L1 button there to turn and face the defender. Force Maldini to connect, and you can see Joksan there, a little bit of emotion from him missing that penalty. He knew what a massive moment that was in the game as we rejoin live now, and that's something you don't see too much from Joksan, that little release of emotion. Usually he's so cool, so calm in front of the camera until that final whistle goes.
It's because I think that was the game there for him, a 2-0 lead, and it's unlikely that Chris can get back into it. Mbappe can't latch on to that one, but it was a real chance for Chris. There's always a danger going down the middle, I think, in penalties in these competitions, because without the reassurance of that reticule, a lot of players are more likely to go central in the goal so they don't go wide. We've seen a lot of missed penalties this tournament.
Good interception though from Ruud Gullit. Chris with the chance now to step out, goes for that directional nutmeg, maybe just a little bit earlier. Didn't commit the defender into the tackle, into that space to burst past him before attempting it. And now you're going to see Joksan maybe with a chance to strike. The McGeady spin inside, almost created the space. And Chris, once again, with some good last-ditch defending.
Chris does like to directional nutmeg, sometimes just receiving the ball to get away from the oncoming defender, but it is a force of habit at times, and he does leave himself a little bit vulnerable from the further defender actually taking the ball off him, and that was a prime example of it. I'm sure he would have noticed it.
Just walking the tightrope there. That ball almost going out of play. There's the ball roll, and there's the scoop turn, the combination that serves so many players so well. Chris just inching his way towards goal, but you could see there was no obvious pass for him.
And when that pass isn't there, you try to go back to what you think is on, but when the player is turning like that and they're off balance, you're always going to have the chance of the ball going wayward.
And Joksan controlling the pace of the game. This is what he loves to do. Alan Harvey was saying he's like a boa constrictor, but sometimes he's ready to strike. Again, Chris has to hold on and actually gets the goal kick here.
30 minutes left for Chris to show us what he's made of. Show us why he was that inaugural E-Champions League victor. Why he is known as the Beast. NYC Chris. He needs to very much switch beast mode on now. I don't know if it's a potion he drinks, whether he goes into some sort of Hulk mode, but either way, has to happen here and now. He doesn't have much time left.
He's got him behind here, and a chance to strike a goal. Stops up. Can't find the pass inside the box, and once again, Joksan's tracking. Absolutely superb. Goalkeeper comes out. Gets a punch onto this. Pele on the edge of the box. Chris keeping that pressure on. But Joksan, every step of the way, is there to match him.
Slightly indecisive in front of goal at the moment, Chris. You can feel the nervousness in his play when he does approach the box. Wins the ball back with Hullet, though.
Needs to go forward. 22 minutes left. Needs to create as many chances as he can to get back into this. Otherwise, complexity will be crowned your champions. And once again, the player switching from Joksan and the way that he's reading Chris is such a difficult skill to master at this level.
Chris is really struggling to break down Joksan. I think that's why in the early stages we were seeing so many Hail Marys, the through balls being played from deep, hoping that Joksan wasn't able to read them. But Joksan has been there, and he's reading them comfortably.
There's the ball into the feet of Cristiano Ronaldo. There's that scoop turn, stop up, reverse, and that's the goal! And magic from Complexity's Joksan. A goal worthy of a championship.
And I think it might be time to blow out those birthday candles, Joksan, because you are so close now to keeping this title, to winning this zone. A 2-goal lead against Chris with only 15 minutes left in what has already been a struggle for Chris in this game to break Joksan's defense. The King of North America still holding his title.
Joksan is just the juggernaut of North America at this point. He just looks flawless. He really, really does. It's so difficult to pinpoint any weakness to his game. And unfortunately for Chris, he's just living in the same time period as him.
Well, Chris needs to be having a word with Squirrel and saying, well, saw what you were able to do from the kickoff, getting a must-needed goal in the dying moments. Well, I need to find two. It has to be from this attack, I feel, from the get-go, to get one back in, just to put that pressure back onto Joksan. If Joksan wins the ball back, he will kill this game off. He will pin back Chris and restrict any chances whatsoever. Joksan, one of the best at the moment at maintaining a lead. Has to be now.
74 minutes on the clock. 15 minutes plus stoppage time here for Chris to create and convert 2 chances. With the way that Joksan's been defending, it's almost impossible to think of a way to create one. With the change in formation, you saw it, the 4-3-1-2. Going to be employed. The fullbacks will be bombing on. The central midfielders will be bombing on and getting into that box as well. Here is one of them, Ruud Gullit. Pele. Joksan marking that space, cutting those passing lanes so well once again, and that might be enough.
It's just absolutely packed at the moment, is the box, and Chris cannot find a way through whatsoever. And Joksan has a chance to win it here.
Mbappe on Joksan's birthday to make this a complexity victory celebration. Can't put the chance away, and maybe now Chris can go forward. Wonderful ball over the top to the feet of Alexander-Arnold into the box. Great defensive header though, and Joksan will once again collect possession.
And I'm sure that Joksan wouldn't have even been thinking about chances and scoring. He knows that it's very simple. It's keeping the ball away from Chris. Chris not able to hold on to it from the throw-in either here. There is still a little bit of time, but it's not much. It has to be from this attack. If he loses this ball, I think this is over, Mark.
Has to score, has to go forward, has to score from this situation. Great tackle from Gullit once more though. Joksan is a master of defending here on FIFA 21. He looks to go forward as well. He wins that, the rainbow flick, and the emphatic finish to what has been Yet again, another emphatic performance from Complexity's Joksan. We've got a special player on our hands.
A little bit of razzle-dazzle, as Mike LaBelle would say. 2020 E-Club World Cup champions are going to be the Zone 6 champions as well. There was a bit of fight back from Squirrel of NYC, but Chris, again, cannot get past Joksan.
And I don't know many players who will be able to this year. For Chris, things just hasn't gone his way, but for Complexity, the defending champions for last year on the global stage, now on the regional stage, once again will be the Zone 6 champions. A huge congratulations to Joksan and Maxi VIP.
And a great birthday present, $22,000 in the pockets of those Complexity players. Still $10,000 for NYC. But I'm sure the birthday wishes this morning from Joksan would have been just to get those dubs. And the dubs he did achieve.
And it all started with Maxi VIP. We talked about that first game, how important it would be. And he got the job done. Squirrel gave NYCFC just a little bit of hope with that bit of magic that I'm sure a lot of people would be talking more about if it went to that game 5, but should certainly be remembered. But that performance in that final game from Joksan, it was surgical. It was just conclusive. It was just Joksan.
And that's it. Joksan is different class at the moment. And as I said earlier on in the broadcast, I feel that if he was on an international level right now, if he weren't stuck in these regional competitions because of the way the world is, he would be beating the best of the best.
I'd be picking him every time as a favourite. You always get asked that question going into tournaments. Who's one of your favourites? And usually, you're saying Tex. Sorry, Joksan, every single time at the moment, the level that he's been playing, you couldn't argue against it.
You couldn't, especially with the way that he defends as well. He really just... God, it sucks the life out of his opponents. It's so difficult when you see a defense like that, all your runs being tracked, the player movement, the jockeying, like everything is exquisite from him. And then when he goes forward as well, suddenly you're like, well, I've just spent all this time trying to break down this defense. I need to switch on. And how quickly he goes forward, but then it's the ability to turn and recycle the play when he realizes there isn't going to be a chance there. And then he doesn't give the chance for his opponent to actually reset. It's been amazing from Joksan, and it's been a pleasure to watch him. But of course, Maxi VIP deserves the praise as well, because he had some great games.
Well, Complexity will be your Zone 6 champions. That's going to do it all from the commentary desk for the FIFA E-Club World Cup this year. But for the final time, we're going to throw it over to Spencer and Layla to take us home.
A Complexity victory and a perfect birthday celebration for Joksan as well. Very conclusive final game there.
I mean, this Complexity team is a real deal. It's a shame for them in a way they didn't get a chance to test themselves on the global scale this year. Maybe next year they'll go again and see if they can keep this record going. But these guys have just got real synergy. Joksan, everything those guys just said, is unplayable at the moment. He's such a top player because it'd be easy for someone just tuning into this show to not give Chris the credit he deserves and think, oh, Joksan's beaten him. But Chris is the second best player in North America. That's just a ranking that's official. And Joksan's made fairly easy work of it. Certainly in that second leg there, the 3-0 win, that third goal was unnecessarily flamboyant. I kind of love it, I'm not going to lie.
Beautiful.
Yeah, it's very, very good from Complexity.
Let's take a look at the goals, because we had 3 of them in this final game, all for Complexity.
Yeah, I mean, some of the level of these goals from Joksan as well. That 1-2-3 pass combination there, the ball roll, all the kind of textbook things you have to do in FIFA, he's doing them, and he does them in composed pressure situations. That's what's amazing about it. Obviously, a penalty there could have been more. If it wasn't for Schmeichel staying down the middle and staying true and making the save, could have been 4. Again there, look, doesn't matter how many blue shirts you've got around him, 2, 3, 4, 5, it doesn't matter. Joksan will find the space and he will get their goal. 2-0. At this point, it was done. Would Joksan have done this in another environment? Probably not. Because he knew it was done, he thought he'd try for something special. He pulls it off. 3-0. Look at the celebration from the birthday boy. Commiserations to Chris, who's been fantastic. And, NYC FC have gone all the way here, apart from the last hurdle. But they've got a great team there with Chris and Squirrel. And it's just unfortunate for them to come up against Joksan and Maxi in fine form. Let's not forget Maxi, by the way, as well. You don't get this far without a good teammate. And he deserves it just as much as Joksan.
Absolutely, absolutely. Let's check in with our zone reporter. Sam is on the line. Sam, we have a winner. We have a champion.
Absolutely. I feel a little bit vindicated. I'm very happy that my prediction was correct. And they were all fantastic games. A very, very good way to finish out this zone final.
It was a decent prediction from you, to be fair, considering that obviously New York had the pick of the console. They went with Xbox, and on paper, I mean, you could argue, is that where New York lost it? The fact they lost that first game between Squirrel and Maxi getting that win, it set them up for a difficult series, didn't it?
Absolutely. I think, absolute credit to Chris. He's an absolutely fantastic player. But I do think that NYCFC had to go into this banking on the games between Squirrel and Max ultimately being the deciding factor. And after that first game, it really was an uphill battle.
Talk to me about Joxan as well, because we've heard Spencer just now saying it's almost a shame it was a regional final. We've heard our casters talk about how far they reckon he could go if it was free of the pandemic. What are your thoughts on Joxan?
I think he is absolutely just wishing that we could do some international tournaments this year, and it's so unfortunate that we don't. I don't think we've seen him this dominant since FIFA 19, when he was absolutely destroying those early cups in FIFA 19. I think he's on the exact same form now as he was then, if not even better. And I think that if he had international tournaments, he would absolutely be one of the best players in the world.
Sam, what that victory for Complexity does mean is that across all 6 zones, our 6 champions, none of them have been traditional football clubs. They've all been eSports organisations. So first and foremost, I'd say that completely vindicates the decision from FIFA to open this tournament up to non-traditional football teams. Obviously, this is a tournament that is based and mirrored off of the FIFA Club World Cup, which is a football tournament. And the first ever one did only have football teams in it. But they opened it up. The tournament and the qualification process has got more open, if you like, over the last few years. We've seen more teams than ever enter this year. Why do you think it is that eSports orgs, right now at least, have got a little bit of a nod over traditional football teams in FIFA?
I think it's interesting. I think they actually have more of a mindset with how to handle eSports. I think from a business perspective, how you handle eSports is very different from how you handle traditional football. And I think they have an edge there because they know how to market their players. They might potentially have better resources when it comes to training facilities or things like that. And with football clubs, they're almost not, I think, stuck in their ways is an unfair way to say it, but they're definitely used to dealing with real football, and sort of slowly transitioning into that esports world is something that's going to take time and might be something that's better suited to someone with more of an esports mindset than a football mindset, which is why I think those esports organizations are really seeing more success, at least right now.
You make a very good point there, Sam. Just lastly, before you go, I want to ask you for a couple of words on Maxi, because he kicked off the night on Xbox with a good win. Might not have happened in the third leg, but a great teammate and a champion all the same.
I think Maxi is always very underrated during these tournaments. Coming into right before that game 3 when he lost to Squirrel, he had not lost a game during the group stages or the zone final. He actually had 1 win and 2 draws during the group stages, whereas Joxan actually had 1 loss. And, you know, apart from that 1 game against Squirrel where he almost pulled it back, like I said earlier today, he's really good at those last-minute goals, and it just so happened in that game that Squirrel happened to have an even more last-minute goal to win it. But he's an incredibly underrated player, and he always gets those results when it counts. I think it's a lot of people will talk about Joxan being the best player on PlayStation in North America, and Max was only 23rd on Xbox coming into this tournament. But he is, as a member of this team, as part of that Complexity duo, he's a fantastic player, and he should be absolutely as proud of himself from this performance as Joxan is.
Sam, it's been great talking to you throughout this Zone 6 final. Thank you very, very much. A strong team in Complexity. Maxi, really, the bond there works.
Well, yeah, some people have a fit for a tournament, if you like, or something that I always say Mark Noble for West Ham seems to play better at Upton Park than he does at any other ground. It's like it works for him. And it seems to be the same for Max. In this tournament, he comes alive. If he can take that form into other tournaments, into the regional qualifiers, into whatever he plays, he'll be way higher than 23. You know, that's where he is right now, but he's playing like he's top 10 at least.
Fantastic. Well, let's hear from our winners. I believe we have Maxi and Joxan on the line now. Gentlemen, congratulations. You are our Zone 6 champions. How are you feeling?
Feels awesome. Feels awesome.
Yeah, it feels amazing, honestly.
Joxan, an intense final game for you there. Walk us through that last match.
Well, I thought Maxi was gonna take it. You know, we were gonna be 3-0. So when I was watching Maxi, I was just chilling. You know, like drinking some water, drinking some Gatorade. But then I found out I needed to play, so I got ready. And yeah, I mean, like it was a pretty good game. I feel like I dominated the whole match. Me and Diddy have played numerous times already, and I kind of know how he plays already. So I can say it was a pretty easy match, and I dominated the match. Scored early, and yeah, I went 2-0 up, and then yeah, the rest is history, I guess.
It is indeed, guys. You have made history, obviously, winning this event this year, winning the event last year. Congratulations, I've got to say. It's very impressive. Happy birthday to you as well, by the way, Yoxan. I get you enjoy your 23rd of that one. Maxi, my question's for you, though, mate. I think, would you say it's fair to say that people sleep on you a little bit outside of this tournament? And they, you know, obviously there's a lot of talk about Yoxan and his rankings #1 right now in the region, which makes complete sense. But, you know, I said it to you last year, and I'll say it to you again. There's no way you guys could have won this without a team effort. You've stepped up when you've needed to. How great did it feel to get that win in that first game versus Squirrel?
No, honestly, I can't really describe the feeling of winning this tournament one time and doing it back-to-back 2 times in a row, 2 years running now. It's like I really can't describe how it feels, but at the same time, obviously, this year, personally, it hasn't been the best in terms of performance and just like qualifiers and stuff like that. The format is a large factor in that, but there's just something about Club World Cup. I know, like, I'm representing complexity. I know that if I do bad, then it affects Yoxan. So it's just I just turn up in this competition, and obviously in like a one-leg format, you just need to be the most clutch player. And there's just something about like our duo. We just have great chemistry. We have confidence in each other, and I expected us to win this whole thing, and I'm just so glad we did.
Maxi, one last question for you. You both, prior to the game, spoke highly of your opponents. They did push you all the way to a 4th leg. Any word on your opponents?
Yeah, amazing players. I mean, you don't need to talk about Diddy much to know, obviously, what he's done in this scene. E-Champions League, 2-time EMLS champion as well. He's a top, like, 3 North American player ever easily. And then Squirrel is basically, he's not like on the come up, but last year he was a top 3 North American player. This year he's arguably top 2, top 3. He's made 2 finals, and obviously Squirrel's a really close friend of mine. And so obviously winning against him, it doesn't feel good because I like seeing a friend obviously finish second. Just it doesn't feel good. But at the same time, I know Squirrel will 100% either win one of the last 2 qualifiers or do insane in the playoffs. He's definitely a player to watch for years to come. Yeah,
I agree with that, Maxi. Well said. Yoxan, I can tell from that last goal, you know, that you don't score a goal like that unless you're playing with confidence and you're enjoying your FIFA. And obviously you're dominant in the region right now, you guys as a team, you as an individual as well. How would you feel you'd be faring right now if you were in a global competition, both as a team, if this competition was like it was last year, but also as an individual? Do you feel like you're one of the best right now in the world?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I can honestly say that I feel like I'm one of the best for sure. Maybe top 10 in the world, maybe top 5. But yeah, like I feel really confident in my game right now. And if it was a 2v2 competition, I feel like me and Maxi would have destroyed everyone. Cause like the chemistry we have like in the virtual pitch is kind of crazy. Cause like we know how to play the 2v2s. Like we were kind of like bummed out that the whole tournament was gonna be online. And we weren't going to get to play at 2v2s, but we understand the current situation. But now we're really happy to have won it again back-to-back.
Well, Yoxan, happy birthday to you both. Congratulations. You are our Zone 6 FIFA E-Club World Cup champions. Congratulations.
Hold on, guys.
Right, thank you. Thank you guys.
We saw the emotion just at the end there. What a way to celebrate. What a day for him.
What a team. And listen, he's confident, but he's got every single right to be. You know, they back it up. They've been tested twice as a partnership. They've won both competitions they have been in the history of this competition. So who's to say they won't do it again? Who's to say they wouldn't have done it on a global scale if they got the opportunity? He mentions the 2v2 format, which we saw last year, which we obviously couldn't do this year. But that's where the real team chemistry actually comes in, because you're on the pitch at the same time. I want to see these guys play in that environment again. I want to see if they can defend this, and I want to see if any of the other teams out there, football clubs included. I made a point of mentioning that because this is not me kind of criticising them. It's a challenge Football clubs out there, you need to up your game in FIFA. You're very good at football on the virtual pitch. Esports guys showing you how it's done. So let's see what you can do and see if Complexity can get it again next year.
I'd like one last word from you, because today we've not only crowned our Zone 6 champions, but we tie off all 6 zones. We have champions for every region. How is it for you?
It's been brilliant. I think it's great that we got to do this event. You know, it would have been easy for the powers that be to not go into all the organisational work that it took. The qualification's been insane, the amount of games that have been played. Well done to every single person that took part, including the guys that didn't make it, even to the league table, the league phase, let alone the knockout phase. Been great. I've loved this production. I think this has been fantastic for us personally. It's been a year since we last came and did what we all love to do. We're still missing the players. So players at home, we look forward to seeing you soon. Keep practicing. Hopefully there'll be a big climax to this year in terms of the events that we're used to. But the Club World Cup is very much a North American trophy right now. Well done to Complexity again.
Well, thank you all very, very much. You've been watching the FIFA E-Club World Cup. My name has been Leiran Lee. Thank you from me, Spencer Owen, our casters, Mark Hatcher, Dan Gaskin, Richard Buckley and Brandon Smith. We'll see you again next year.